You want to get a news update, my brother, tune to spoon. You want to know what is happening, Moravia, tune to spoon. Politicians want to make their decision, just tune to spoon. You want to know what happening in the ministry, tune to spoon. Yeah, tune to spoon. Yeah, tune to spoon. You from Funjama, Maryland, tune to spoon. Yeah, tune to spoon. If you eat keep my congratulate my brother, tune to spoon. You got a spoon TV, you got a spoon radio, tune to spoon. Yeah, tune to spoon. What? Yeah, Rastafari. Klibaba. What I want? Yes, what you got today? School TV. Yes, what you got today? School TV. School entertainment.
Yes, sir. A special one from the CEO, Stan Turner with the spoon. And your boy, Friday the South Band. Charges on the beat.
On the spoon to get your information. To the spoon to be part of our discussion. Spoon television. Spoon radio station. Spoon gonna tell you what is happening in Liberia. Spoon gonna tell you what is happening in Moravia.
Okay, folks. The time here in Liberia is 26 minutes up to 9 p.m. You're welcome to another edition of Spoon Talk here on Spoon 107.5 FM. Let me bring on the panelists, beginning with Dr. Richardson. Good afternoon to you.
Hello, Diamond. How you doing? It's good to see you.
It's good to see you as well. I'm a bit under the weather, but I'm doing a little bit okay. Not fully well, but I'm good.
I hope you feel better.
I sure will.
Mm-hmm. James, good day. How you doing?
I'm okay. Everything is good from my end.
God continues to mind you.
Yeah, God minding me.
That's good. You had a great weekend. You felt safe and everything went well.
Yeah, my weekend was good, and my weekend ends today because tomorrow I'll be returning to school.
Get a last minute a good time in, okay?
Yeah.
Watch your last Netflix.
You know, I haven't watched Netflix these days. Though. I think over 3 months, it was day before yesterday, I watched movie on Netflix.
That's why I said get it in, because school coming to can't start again. You're not doing
Yeah, I don't know. I just got a week about Netflix.
Yeah.
Maybe that during the vacation I'll get used to it again.
Yeah, but you got plenty of work to do. You think the people playing over there with you, that's cool. We don't joke. Yeah, man. You had all that time like you're on your hand, you're watching a movie and all that one there.
I'm telling you.
Yeah. All right. It's good to be here. We're gonna have another fascinating episode of Spoon Talk. Liberians, gather around, join us by your digital device, join us by getting on radio or TV. We are here today. We are going to be having Simeon Freeman in today. He's going to be talking about the economy. He's going to be talking about national issues. We are very pleased to have all of you who are watching us today. We're pleased to offer you the news. This is Liberia's radio station. You have told us that so many times, and we appreciate that. You tell us that we bring you the news. We're here to discuss different opinions about what is going on in our country, and it is up to you to filter that information, to marinate it, to toss it around and see how what you want to do with it. But we know a big day is coming for us Liberians, October 10th. It is the day that we'll be able to decide how we want our country to go, our projection for our own country, for our life, for the next generation. So this is why we're here to bring you the news. I'm going to go back to Diamond. Diamond's going to tell us some of the trending issues, and then we're going to go to Good Day. And then I'll welcome some of you who, you inbox me, message me. I thank you for your messages that we're still here. Diamond, I'm circling back to you right now. Anything going on in the country that you'd like to share with us?
Well, a lot of things happen in Liberia, Dr. Richardson. But before I start with what's unfolding, the few that I've picked from the lot, I'd love to wish all my Ghanaian friends happy independence. Today is the 6th of March, and I want to say happy Independence Day to all my Ghanaians. Ghana did play a crucial role in my life, not just offering me safe haven, but also an opportunity to acquire education there. So apart from Liberia, that's my home from home. So I want to say to all Ghanaians, enjoy your Independence Day. As they say, forward ever, backward never. So that's for Ghana. So yeah, in Liberia, Dr. Richardson, if television producers were just to bring their cameras, and move around Liberia, they'll make a great series, a very great series, because every day there is something happening in this country. This is a country of real drama. If you are doing reality TV, probably you win a lot of awards, just by viewing and capturing normal everyday activities in Liberia. But today, a presidential candidate withdrew from the race. Yes. Oh yes, the race hasn't even begun, though we see banners and flyers all around, but he withdrew from the race, stating financial issues, that the youth in Liberia that he thought would have welcomed his campaign, rather they have a crab mentality, crab in the bucket mentality. This former presidential aspirant is Mr. Wolokoli, Mejistu Wolokoli. He's the brother of Samora Wolokoli, Deputy Finance Minister, and also the son of Mr. Dusty Wolokoli, one-time representative of District Number 9 in Monserrado County. So he has withdrew from the race there. So probably we'll see some more withdrawals from the race. Also in Liberia, we have what we call the suspension spree. That's what's happening now in the country. You suspend me, I suspend you. We suspend each other. It's happening now. The suspension spree.
Suspend Jack.
Yeah, suspender, suspend the suspended. that's what is happening. And that has got to do with the VLA endorsement. A group of people went to Jamaica, the president's resort, under the banner of Nimba Cuado, and they endorsed the president's bid for 2023. Only for another group to come up today, issuing a press statement and saying, no, we're not aware. In fact, those who went there, that VLA, they put the president on a complete pretense. To the extent, when the president had realized that all that in a VLA, Imam Fazari voice, they took down the post from the executive mansion, page. Previously, the post was there that this group had endorsed the president, but when he realized that it was a big VLA, quick, they dropped that story. Yeah. So the real Nimba Cuado, the executives, including the chairman, has come out to say all that thing are happening as scam. They are a non-political group. They're not aligned with any political party. And those who did that, they will be suspended. And they've been suspended for time indefinite. So whatever they got for stoking and transportation, they have to refund that money because they got it on a false pretense.
I'm your own there now.
Yeah.
Why must they do that? You better went to school for this year. Go ahead.
Why must they do that? And then today we also had CDC women marching. Whether it was a march of solidarity or a march of political solidarity, that's something to decide. But today they were marching in solidarity and calling for justice for the late Shalom Musu. The case that has taken Liberia, and not just Liberia, but Liberians all across the world and foreigners and even our friends, and wanting to see what will happen, what will actually come out of this case. They marched today in direct response to the party chairman's mandate. Also, we have the illegitimate coalition. Senator Biden has written to the NEC that whatever that was signed by the NPP to affix their signature to the coalition document is actually fraudulent, it's fake, it wasn't done with due process, hence it's a fruit of the poisonous tree, and the NEC should not honor that. And whoever that is acting as acting chairman, the NEC should not, do business with Mr. Moba. So again, we're in the political season. We're seeing a lot of things happening, and I just chose to highlight those few. I know Spoon Talk has got a lot to do, so I just chose to highlight that. And to conclude, the ECOWAS ambassador to Liberia, Madam Nkrumah, has alarmed over threats concerning her life. Yeah, and that is not a good sign for us as a country. That foreign diplomats, will be saying they don't feel safe and threats are issued against their lives. She made mention to a podcast for which an individual called Kasim made a comment, a comment for which I don't want to repeat. But she has written the Justice Ministry to look into that matter. So that's another trending issue here in Liberia as well. So James can bring up the rest of those trending issues. But wait, have you watched the movie Prison Break?
No.
You haven't watched that series, Prison Break?
No, I have not.
James, you say you stopped watching movies for a while now, but I'm sure you watched Prison Break.
Is that with the
Yeah.
Amish?
I think I watched portion of it before.
Okay. So in Grand Crew County, inmates are threatening to actually reenact Prison Break Liberia version. The kids there in Grand Crew County are complaining over lack of food, overcrowdedness, and a lot of other things that we experience here at the South Beach that led to the Justice Minister saying that the place is overcrowded and there's no food and all of that. That's what's happening in Grand Crew now. The inmates are threatening that if they do not get adequate food and the prison is not decongested, they might just be staging a prison break for them to, have humane conditions rather than being stuck up there in the prison, overcrowded prison. So that's that. James, you can take out the rest from there.
Wow, Diamond, actually, I want to thank you so much for your action-oriented news mixed with colloquia. Everything, all of the common saying was in your report. Thank you so much. I don't have time to watch movies. Actually, I watched a movie this weekend with my husband. It was really good. I think it was called Yo People. It was a really good movie. But for a very long time, I have not watched movie because I'm really always busy. So, but I took some time to relax today. Good day. Go ahead. Tell us what you have for us.
All right. Just like I said last week, that no people. Damo, I think you got to come out. Just like I said last week, that the endorsement was it was a Nicodemus Act.
Yeah, I said Kakakolo.
Yeah, that was proven today. And before I move on, let me also recognize the team. Those who had their own conference today, they recognized us. They said that Spoon did it. That Spoon talk about it, and they talk about the way we describe it. They said they don't know how we got to know, whether we know about their constitution. And I was like, but we've been there. We know how these things are done.
Well, before you go, I want to say bravo to you for breaking that news. This is why we're here, to present the information to Liberians. Sometimes we have guests who will present information that are not necessarily the views of all of us, but we'll break the news to you as we get it. And James did say unconfirmed sources told him that information. So here we are. It turned out that it came to fruition. Go ahead. Good day.
Yeah, the minute he the president, I hear Warren, they eat the president by the way. I don't know, president. We are too. He been in Liberian politics for many, many years now. I don't know why he had to allow those people to eat him like that, to just eat his money on fly. But There was this information that came out in the media yesterday. I want to talk about it even before giving any update. That has to do with a group of young people from the Monrovia City Corporation came together. They wrote a statement uh, under the banner Valley Tally family. And in that statement, they try to preach this tribal politics that we saw yesterday about playing a victim game, saying the Madingo trap. Specifically, those who wrote that statement, I know some of them from the Monrovia City Corporation. They intended to, redirect the public opinion, but thank God nobody falling for them. They also described Spoon Network, Spoon Talk in a very unique way that suit them. But I just wanted to talk about it before going. I know it is not too important to give them that credit, but just to tell them that I know who wrote the statement, though the press, the media relation officer of the corporation is currently suspended. He's not the one who wrote that statement, but I know those who wrote the statement claiming to be family of Valley. But what it did, I think the Madingo people of Liberia are not even falling for it because they claim that the media is against the Madingo people of Liberia, and it is a propaganda against the Madingo people. The government should step in. When people talking about Senator Johnson, why Nimba people can't stand up or the Gio people can't say they against Gio people. Yeke Kolba, why the Loma people can't say they against the Loma people, and so on. You can name all of the ex-fighters. So these people from the Monrovia City Corporation, instead of them concentrating on cleaning garbage in Monrovia, they still keep talking about, dividing our country because somehow they have been linked with a crime. And that was just a lead that was provided. The government said they needed people to give information. So somebody came on our platform and provided a lead. So how can you now come back and chase us and say we are against the Madingo people? So I just wanted to talk about that to our good friends there from the Madingo Agnes group. We want to tell you guys that don't mind them. We know you're not falling for them. We are not against you. We have Madingo people who worked for us before and who are still our friends. Joseph Soko Kwana, he's a Madingo man. We all worked together before, and so many Madingo people out there who also affiliate with Spoon Network. We cannot go against any specific tribe in Liberia because we are all one under one umbrella. Even if you are not from Liberia, as though you are residing in Liberia, you are part of us. So that happened yesterday. They issued that statement, and the statement is not even moving anywhere. Another one has to do with Mr. Cummings today. Mr. Cummings received endorsement in district number 10, and Cummings has been really active in the media of recent. He has been very, very active in the media of recent. He's expected again tomorrow to appear to another intellectual center. But unconfirmed information are coming in is not good for Mr. Cummings and Senator Yombly Kanga Lawrence. It is not good for their political future ahead of October 10, because the both of them have been dreaming, and I know about that. They have been dreaming to go as running mate to former VP JNB, but unconfirmed information coming in says JNB has turned his back to them, and on the 17th, we will get to know exactly who will be his running mate, but rule out Cummings and Senator Lawrence. They both are out, and rule out Bond County. Nobody is going to come from there. By law, Lofa is disqualified already, so Lofa is not going to come out with anybody. But just rule out Cummings, Bassa, and Bond County. So you can now suggest whether Nimba, Maryland, or whatever. But on the 17th, we're going to know. I just want to say to Cummings supporters that I'm sorry, Cummings is out, and Cummings is not going to be on a ticket with GNB. Maybe they will reunite in 20. That is during the second round. But for now, those two people, their dream gone down the drain. They will not.
Thank
Yeah.
you very much. Good day. I would like to welcome Al Hussein Fadiga to the show. Thank you, Al, for being here. I
Thank
just want to
you.
say a few things before we move on to our guest who is expected to arrive at 4 o'clock today. He's coming in from his home. So good day whenever he gets here. Please let me know. And for the record, Mr. Cummings is not dreaming of being a vice president to Joseph Boca. So just for all of our listening audience, you heard Good Day say Mr. Cummings' dreams were smashed. That is not true. Mr. Cummings is not dreaming about becoming the vice president for Joseph Boakai. He is a political candidate right now running to be president for the Republic of Liberia. I actually want to go back after I clear that uh, political shenanigans that you just said. Good day. I really want to go back to say that this talk show that you see all of us coming here every day for to the Liberian people to speak to the Liberian people is a show that is inclusive and diverse. We like everybody here. We are so many panelists that come from different backgrounds. You don't even know my background. Al Hussein Fadiga is here. You don't know his total background. For the rest of the other panelists that are here, you don't know. So for anyone to say that we are practicing divisiveness, they got it really, really wrong. They are so wrong. The most we want to do, we want a forward-moving Liberia. We want Liberia, and again, in the words of Mr. Cummings, that is deserving for all Liberians. We will denounce any kind of divisive statement, any kind of divisive comment that will come from any one of the panels this year, or any of, in fact, we ask our followers not to engage in any divisiveness because it does not help our country. It doesn't help any one of us. We want to preach the message that the world is preaching right now: inclusiveness and diversity. Anywhere you go, there's strength in inclusiveness and diversity. So I just wanted to say that. Having said that, let me just welcome my fellow panelists again. Hussein Fadiga, if you just give me a minute to just actually welcome some of our viewers here, because I want to do that before Mr. Fagon come on, because he said I'll say hello to all of my relative, my cousin, and my brothers, which include any different ethnic groups in Liberia. It doesn't matter to me. You just got to do right for Liberia, and I'll be fine with it. So let me just welcome. Good day. You're here enough from all of the people who come here to tell you that you're very wrong. My friend Taylor Gibson is now telling me that you are very wrong for saying what you had to say about Mr. Cummings. So just so you know, she's making a comment right here. But I want to welcome Aaron P.F. Bala here. Aaron, just when I started this thing, just started moving so fast. Tapla Popo is watching. Shaq Kamara is from Fonchima. Beatrix L. Munle is watching. Jeremiah Blessing Guba is also watching. Marshall Sambula is watching. I believe he said today is his second day in Barclayville. Grand Crew County is somewhere I wish to visit would be Barclayville. On my way to Grand Judah. One of these days I'll make that trip. Willie Collins is watching. X PRNC is watching. Michael Green is also watching us. Michael, thank you. David Booker is watching. Joseph the Dreamer Entier, he's watching as well. Sam Innocent Molu is watching. I think I'm saying that last name right. Elizabeth Bauer, Elizabeth, sis Liz, thank you very much. Stella Gibson, my own friend, is also watching. Agnes V. Tilkla is watching. Thank you, sis Agnes, for being here. Willie Collins is watching. She said, I need to fact check James. Tipo PK Dempster is watching. Jeff P. Walker is watching. He says, Dr. Richardson, quick to catch feeling. I'm not catching feeling. I'm very calm. You won't imagine. I'm one of the calmest person that you ever meet in your life. I've been trained to do this, to stay calm when people are rising their emotion. Many years of training. So I'm not. It's just because I'm a woman is how I speak with emotions compared to my fellow colleagues here. So, C. Monje K, he says, my Rawa Sports sister. Thank you for being here. Michael Think Positive Bender he says, good evening, guys. Thank you for being here. Um, Mohammed A.B. Barry from Burrowville. Thank you for spending your time with us today. Morris Johnson is from North Carolina, Greensboro. Morris, thank you for joining us. Peter Youngo is watching. Barbara Barbie Charles is watching from Sincor. John Mumbo is watching. Clarence Davis is from Houston. Thank you for joining us. Erasmus Zobby is from Pennsylvania. Erasmus, thank you for being here. Joyce Agner Mulba from Jalatan. Joyce, I want to tell you thank you for coming here. I love to see when women are participating in politics. If your name is who you are, Joy Agnes Mulba, thank you. She's from Jalatan, it says. James Sewia, I'm sorry, James Sewia, I believe, is from Upper Darby, PA. Thank you for being here. John M. Cully from Morovia. Vita Peabody from New York City. D. Emerson Channel Adams from Caldwell, Morovia. Thank you for being here. Stephen Riches, watching from Boys Town. Thank you for being here. Barbara is here. Hello, Barbara, another friend of mine. Nice to see you. Vonnie Marsha is here from Bowman County, Clay District. Vonnie Marsha, Bowman County, Clay District is here. Lucini M.F. Kamara is watching from Dallas, Texas. And Stephen Kaffar Sr., he's watching from Dubai. Wow, we're traveling here now. Optimistic Tap is watching from Turkey. Now we're going to Turkey. We're going to Stockholm. LIB Native Man is watching from Stockholm. We're traveling now to other parts of the world. Yaslin Ish Flemister is watching from Robertsfield Highway. I hope everything is going well. The road is being built. Thank you very much for joining us from all of the people out on Robertsfield Highway. Ada May Taylor is watching from Barnesville Estate. Lots of memory of when it used to be Barnesville Estate, the real original estate. But thank you for joining us. Steve Womplo is from Canada. We are now in Canada. Going to Canada. That's where our panelist leader is from. Thank you for joining us, all the Liberians in Canada. I hope you are doing well today. Happy Monday to you. J. Melvin Tarley is from Istanbul, Turkey. Now we're in Turkey now. Wow. I'm telling you, Spoon is all over, making an impact on Liberians, which is just great. I'm glad to know people from all over are joining in and being interested in the news from Liberia. Duke Gabriel Faith Father, thank you very much. Pew Miller, thank you. E.G. Sumo, thank you from India. Here we are. We are here from India. Call Gloria Voca Mobla. Call, thank you so much for following us here. Yeah, you always here. Fidi Colette is here from Maryland County. Maryland County is here. I heard it's a beautiful place. I like to travel there as well. I'm going to stop here because I don't want James and the rest of my panelists. Hey, Mr. Falcon, yeah, before he said, hey, she calling all her relatives, causing her brother. So I can't hear. I will not forget it, Mr. Falcon. So again, we're here today. Okay, let me check, James.
You're muted.
No, I'm here.
The two Fadiga brothers, that which one here?
One of them. The original one.
I don't know. Oh, so you can't say me about your brother. He said you the original. He will come back when he can't tell you.
Mr. Falcon, can you take on the show? Let me chat. I need to chat with for a second.
Yeah.
The both of you can go ahead. All right, so good day. You heard her calling all her relatives and the.
Yeah, she and I will in conversation. I will join you soon.
Okay, so you're leaving me and Fadiga here?
Yeah, two of you enjoy yourself.
We enjoy ourselves.
Which one of the brothers in here?
Ah.
You see, y'all. That was my brother. Has he already finished give you a disclaimer that he not on spoon?
Yeah, because it said somebody called and said, "Oh, you ran away from me long time. Just found out that you on spoon."
You know, when you on spoon, you get high. Yesterday,
Yeah.
somebody get a screenshot. Apparently, they were watching it on the big screen, the TV, and the person took a video and sent it to me. He said, "Look at you, look at your behavior from Minnesota on Spoon TV." I said, "Well, I didn't know people are watching the thing for all over." But I'm glad our people are paying attention, man.
So, but James, what you got in the pot today for us? What's there? Plenty teasel. This thing look at tabagi when you stay in the one that got enough solar inside. You got all kinds of things. Today, folks, I don't know if James got something for us. James, you got anything for us, James? Any latest news for us, James?
Sorry, Mr. Falcon. We're just program organization going on here. We are set. Thank you very much for holding the floor down. I already now say hello to all my cousins and everything. We have a possibility of two people coming to speak to us today. We are having one group, and I want to make sure Nimba Cuado is their name. We have their leader will be coming in to tell us their experience with the endorsement process or the lack of endorsement process. And then Mr. Simeon Freeman will be coming in for a second half of the program. And then we'll have our own time to reflect and give our afterthought. So Mr. Freeman will also be joining us as we listen to the group that came in here to tell us about the endorsement process. Sometimes these things happen in TV business. People sometimes just call in on us. So bear with us, but we're here to bring you the news. So good day. You want to bring everybody in?
All right.
Mr. Freeman, we can't see you. Your lighting is not too clear in your hustle.
I didn't network.
Oh, okay.
Was that a network? Oh, now
Yeah.
good.
Now we can see you. So you just need to come close to the camera.
Okay.
Yeah, no, so can you see me now?
Yes, much better.
Right.
Mr.
How are you?
We're doing good. We're doing good. How are you doing?
I'm good, and yourself? I'm glad to see you. It's been a while.
Yes. Thank
Yeah. Okay, okay, the Nimba Cuado chairman. I wanted him to. Okay, it's good.
Okay,
Mr.
good. So, Mr. Freeman, can you give us about maybe 10, 15 minutes? And you can join us if you care to. We're going to be listening to the Nimba Cuado's leader, Mr. Topa Croy. He's just going to tell us about his experience recently. So, if you can just bear with us as you listen on, and then we'll transition to talk to you as well. On set with me here, I have Al Hussein Fadiga. He has spent a lot of time in the media business. He has joined us as a panelist. I don't think you met each other yet. Of course, Honorable Fagon, who's also here, and I think Good Day and Diamond, who consistently here with us. So just want you to know who's here with us. Mr. Topa, how are you doing today?
Good evening, Dr. Richardson, and to the rest of the panelists, and to the Republic of Liberia. I want to say to the cartel breaker, my friend Eugene Fagon, how are you, brother? Good to see you.
Long time.
We want to begin like this. Guide me, O thou great Jehovah, pilgrim through this barren land. I am weak, but thou art strong. Hold me with thy powerful hands. Bread of heaven, feed me till I need no more. That's one of my favorite religious song. And I truly believe in these times in Liberia, we need guidance. And God is always able. I come here in the name of Nimba Cuado, Liberia Incorporated. Nimba Cuado means in the Da, the Basa, Bele, we, Madingo, or Da language, Nimba, we are one. So I say to my fellow Liberians and the 6 major tribes of Nimba County, in the Mandale, Nimba Kwavu, in the Basa Dale, Nimba Mwere, in the Gbi Dale, Nimba Nawea, in the Madingo, Nimba Nitile.
Mr.
In the
Tupper, can you adjust the camera? Can you ask someone in the studio to adjust the camera a little bit?
Yes, they're working on it already. The guys
Okay,
doing
good.
it.
Okay, go ahead. I'm sorry to
I'm not,
interrupt you.
no, that's okay. I'm not technologically too smart. I'm not using Fagon who know all this communication things. So
You're
forgive
doing
me.
well. You're
I'm
doing
just
well. Thank you for coming in. Thank you.
That
I'm
man
just
myself slept in a mosquito in Firestone. I thought he coming to bring. I'm waiting for him.
Y'all know mosquito talk. Let a man talk what he got a toilet to say.
in the Pala dialect we say Nimakatwae, and then of course the dialect that I'm most used to speaking, the Dan dialect, we say Nimakwabwe. So, ladies and gentlemen, it's my pleasure. It's our pleasure to be on this evening on this great program. We must congratulate you all for the work you do every day, for the information that you bring to Liberia. And we are honored and happy to be here this evening. We want to say emphatically that Nimba Cuado, Liberia Incorporated, has a constitution. Not only do we have a constitution, but we abide by the constitution. No organization, no institution of people with different minds and different thoughts and responsibility should exist without a document or an agreement that guide us. So our constitution emphatically states that Nimba Cuado, Liberia Incorporated, is an established exclusively to be the largest non-for-profit, non-political organization in Liberia, focused on and dedicated to making every Nimbarian count and support them with various other issues. We emphasize non-for-profit to say that our president, who is now suspended, did not have the authority, did not have the permission, did not consult with our board, our county leaders, nor our executive committee. And according to you, Spoon, which you were right on the call, he clandestinely took our members under pretense to endorse the second bid of President George Manewia. We are here tonight to deny, to remove, to revoke that endorsement. It is invalid. It is clandestine, like you said. And we, the citizens of Nimba County and Nimba Cuado Liberia Incorporated, by the laws of Liberia, cannot endorse any political party. In that light, we say to Mr. President, we're sorry. We say to the people of Liberia, our suspended president made a big mistake, and you will see us never endorsing a political party directly or indirectly by virtue of the construct under which we are. That we came to say tonight. And we're happy that you brought us on.
Mr. Croy, thank you very much for coming
Support.
into
Doc. I'd
sorry.
rather be called support. Yeah.
Support, Mr. Port. I'm not getting your full name out here. Mr. Port.
Let's talk about our Cree Port.
Okay, thank you. Only the Croatia, not the Port. Mr. Port,
Yes.
thank you very much for coming into the studio to make your announcement. We appreciate you disseminating information to the Republic of Liberia, the Republic of Liberia. So I just gonna, for the sake of time, does anyone have any question for Mr. Port, even though this is an impromptu visit here with us before we move on to our main program?
I
Uh, uh,
do. I was following actually, and if that's okay, Dr. Francine, I'm Richardson.
Yes, Leo, go ahead.
Yeah, Dr. Richardson, thank you. And thank you, Mr. Port, for that clarification. And you raise an important point around non-for-profits and what should be governing them in the first place when it comes to political activities. But my question to you, because we've seen engagement from Senator Prince Johnson with the Nimba Cuado movement as well in the past, before, many times doing political activities. So can you clarify to us what is the decision-making process when it comes to the functioning of the president, someone like the president or so, within the Nimba Cuado movement itself? Does the president have the authority? Does he have the authority to take decisions as president of the organization, or is there a process, a specified laid down process that has been consistently followed when it comes to how decisions are made within the organization? And those other engagements as we've seen in the past, where they have been present with Senator Prince Johnson or whatever, does that say that is that a tacit endorsement of things in the past before, or no, this was an actions of his own or just individuals themselves?
Mr. Leo, thank you for the question. Section 12 of our Constitution says that the president of our organization is directed, advice, and also giving direction by the Board of Trustees. The Board of Trustees consult, talk with, and advises the president in the absence of our convention on what to do, decisions to be made, and activities of the organization. The president's responsibility is to carry out those details as spoken by the board. Unfortunately, the suspended president, Mr. Isaac Down, refused on several occasions to do those acts that were subjected to him. We've advised him, we've talked to him, and he consistently took the body out in his own name. Given that fact, we're led at this particular time with this kind of continued disregard for our Constitution. We felt it necessary at this time to take an action. We are going to be following our constitutional mandate. We, in our Constitution, have the right to suspend indefinitely or permanently, giving the grievance of the action. In this act, we felt that there was a need to investigate. However, we did not want to put a wrench in our leadership. So we wanted to take the appropriate step. On that Wednesday, the board of directors and the executive committee are going to be meeting to set up the investigative committee. We just not the reason why we're a little tough on the president and the acting chairman of the youth committee is because they read this petition. They stated out in public that Nimba Cuado was endorsing. So we thought it wise to make a strong position on something that is frowned on in our Constitution. Today, we also appointed an acting president to carry out the day-to-day activities of the organization.
Yeah, just to bring it to my question, Mr. Port, has this been the process followed consistently with any other engagement, political engagement that Nimba Cuado has ever been affiliated with? Can you say this process was followed?
I didn't get your question, Leo.
Okay.
Could you repeat your question?
Just a break in here. Mr. Simeon Freeman, please bear with us. I apologize to you for keeping you waiting. This is not business as usual at Spoon, so please bear with us, okay?
I'll just be quick, Mr. Porter. Thank you, Dr. Richardson. My question was the decision-making processes of the president in the past, where we have seen them. I will be very specific, particularly with Senator Prince Johnson. Can you say that this process that you just described in your constitution, can you say that this process has been followed to the letter for past engagements and involvements of Nimba Cuado under this same president, or is this particular one alarming that has led to you all taking this decision?
Leo, you were not here when I read the preamble and the responsibility and what brought Nimba Cuado up. Let me read it to you again.
No, I was actually following. You don't have to
all
read
right.
it. I was following. I heard it.
This is the answer I have for you. The answer is simple. Nimba Cuado is made to promote, support, defend the citizens of Nimba County. Prince Johnson is a citizen of Nimba County and a contributor to Nimba Cuado. Our organization promotes their interests. We've never endorsed Senator Johnson's political moves and political ideas. What we've done is work with our citizens. So I don't know if you can clarify the specific work that we've done with Senator Johnson that is political, it will help me to answer your question.
Okay.
Can I
ask you one question? Sorry.
Can I just want that to be clear? My own is a yes or no question.
Mr. Freeman, please bear with us.
I followed.
Turn the show over to Mr. Freeman. Okay, go ahead.
I followed your press conference.
Take your time.
Thank you.
I followed your press conference, and let me say thank you. I like men of courage. I like men of valor. When you spoke, and it's just a yes or no, you said, and I'm going to quote you, the Constitution of Nimba Cuado provides for, quote, exclusively non-profit and non-political, unquote. Is that correct?
Yes.
And that is the reason why, because the president made it political by endorsing a political candidate or party, it was a violation of the Constitution. Is that correct?
Yes.
Thank you, sir.
I just got one quick question. You may choose to answer or not, or choose not to. For many years, we have viewed Prince Johnson as the political godfather of Nimba County. Because of that, a lot of people have sought his endorsement. Do you still believe that Prince Johnson is, or do you consider him the godfather, or is he still considered the godfather in Nimba County?
Ali, let me just say that what Nimba County choose to do and choose to call her leader is Nimba County's business and is Nimba County's choice. We respect Senator Johnson for who he is, the senior senator of Nimba County, a conscience of Liberia, and someone who we believe speaks truth to power. The people of Nimba County are people of law.
This was meant to be a personal question, not in the sense of Nimba Cuado. You personally, do you believe it?
Can I divert myself from Nimba Cuado?
You can choose whatever.
You know, so if I say so, you will say, Nimba Cuado say so. If I say this, you will say, Topapu said this. I cannot divert myself from Nimba Cuado. I am the chairman of the board of the Citizens Organization of Nimba County. What I just said is the people of Nimba County call Senator Johnson their godfather. So as a Nimbadian and as a son of Liberia, I say this: Senator Johnson is the conscience of Liberia.
Let me come in with my own question too. just
Go ahead.
Mr.
Go
Port.
down, and then we'll go.
I understand the chain. I can tell clearly that the chain of command of Nimba Cuado, starts from the board. Is there any fear of a power struggle?
Excellent question, Mr. Gray. There is no power struggle in our minds when we are following the dictates of our constitution. The constitution is a document that guides us. We are not following our own minds. We're not speaking on what Mr. Port is speaking on or what Mr. Isaac Da, our suspended president, thinks. We're speaking on the document that was made and signed in Bapulu in 2000 and 2020 that brought to being this organization. Our organization is also an registered incorporated institution under the bylaws of Liberia, non-for-profit bylaws of Liberia. We are registered with the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. We're registered with with the business registration of Liberia. So based on this, we are within our framework. And let me tell you why we register ourselves and why we put ourselves in that position. Because we believe in the laws of Liberia. If we do something contrary to the laws of Liberia, Nimba Cuado must be sued. If somebody do something contrary to us, that person must be sued. And we believe, let me emphasize that Nimba Cuado wants to set that pace in Liberia. We don't know what happens in other organizations, but the law of our country, of our institution, must be respected. And anybody, including myself, who breaks that law must be dealt with according to our constitution.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Mr. Port. It appears to me that we could have done a whole show discussing this matter, but unfortunately, we have Mr. Freeman in our guest room right now, waiting to discuss with Liberian people some of his concerns. You have presented to us here today that based on the Constitution, your organization is not allowed to endorse any political party or political candidate. And we understand that over a couple of days ago, some people, the suspended, I believe, president, one Dan, went ahead and took a few members and endorsed President George Weah's second bid. And you are saying that is unconstitutional. But we want to thank you for being here, for making that announcement and to making it clear to the Liberian people. We'll invite you back again as updates come up in your organization. So thank you for being here.
Dr. Richardson, if I may, I want to say thank you to all of you for the opportunity. And we will be very happy to come back to explain further. And let me say to Mr. Freeman, thank you for giving us the time and letting us steal a little bit of your show. But I will hope you well on the show. The cartel breaker, I'll see you soon. God bless.
Thank you very much. Okay, here we are, panelists. I'd like to welcome Salimatu to the show. I'd like to welcome Colonel Remy Gray. I actually like your outfit there, Colonel Gray. Special occasion? You just coming from work?
Leo replacement.
No, I can't. I just from work.
I had to make a dress to go to work. I also
when you say where the BB goes to in Moria, be passing around.
No, like bro, too hard. You can try. You won't kill me. Don't put me in close.
Okay, guys. We have our guest here, Mr. Freeman. Mr. Freeman was in the news in the past couple of days. He presented to Liberians some of his thoughts. I believe he has a lawsuit going on regarding the Republic of Liberia. So, Mr. Freeman, I'm going to give you the floor right now to tell us, your views about national issues, introduce some of the things that you have going on with national issues in Liberia. And then we're going to take turns asking you 2 questions each. And finally, it will be close to 6 o'clock when we do our closing here. Thank you.
Thank you. And to say good evening if you're in Liberia, and good evening as well if you're in the US and wherever else, whatever your time zone is around the world. And to say good evening to the panelists, Mr. Fagon, Mr. Goodday, Mr. Johnson, Mr. Gray, Mr. Fadiga, Ms. Salamatu, Dr. Richardson. It's a pleasure being in your company. We took 2 actions to the Supreme Court. The first action, the Code of Conduct was passed a few years ago. Resultant of the code, an ombudsman should have been appointed by the government of Liberia. That has not been appointed. And that became clearly necessary after we saw some of the clear violations by officers wearing state uniform that had thrown their uniforms away to become partisans. So it became necessary. We also anticipate, as we had seen in earlier earlier elections, when you ask for an administrative billing for campaign purposes, you are denied. Government officials will use government vehicles to participate in campaign activities. If you don't have an ombudsman, then it becomes difficult to complain such a violator. So we asked for something called a writ of mandamus, compelling the government to appoint the ombudsman. And what was done was that a date was set for the government to send its legal team to indicate why the mandamus shouldn't be issued. So that's the first step. The second thing has to do with a perennial issue that we notice in the budget. The Constitution clearly states that no person working for government will receive double pay. And we notice in the budget that the Speaker, Deputy Speaker, and the President pro tempore of the Senate have been repeatedly receiving double pay. And so we also flagged that with the court, prohibiting the budget passage, or if it has been passed, to prohibit the implementation until these amounts are reversed and put back in government coffers and reutilized. So those are the 2 points of our action. And our press conference also dealt with political party collaboration on points of interest, a process that we have begun talking to other political leaders about in the first place. So in a nutshell, those are the things we've spoken about. Maybe based on your questions, then we will go in more depth.
Okay. So, Mr. Freeman, I'd like to start first, and then we're going to go on to Fadiga, Fagon, Leo, Gray, and Salimatu. And I want to preference my question by saying I'm not the kind of person that believe that just because something is, it should remain that way. All right? I want to say that. But my question to you is, why now? We know that our budget have include some aspect of double dipping before this government. We know that the code of conduct has not been thoroughly followed, but even in the previous election, it wasn't. Why now? Maybe you can just kind of tell us that, although I know you know this government ran on change. So maybe you can explain further for us.
Yeah, so then the question back to you, Dr. Richardson, why not now? We've always had it wrong. Like you said, you don't believe in the fact that something has been wrong, so it should remain that way. So why not now? At every point in our sojourn, certain people like myself and some other people like yourself will pick up on certain specific violations and certain specific challenges and make that an issue. And that's how democracy evolves. And that's how we get our country right. We challenge certain issues. And most probably after this period, we will now have speakers and deputy speakers and president pro tempore not adding anything in the budget for themselves. Because if you did a juxtaposition of their budgets and you compare that with the Supreme Court, the justices, the 5 justices, and the Chief Justice, their total budget is less than $60,000. what they get, because you're not supposed to receive double pay. Imagine the Minister of Transport, who is also chairman of multiple boards, the Minister of Finance, chairman of multiple boards, the Minister of Information, chairman of multiple boards. I think the Minister of Information should be chairman of the board, LBS, and some other public institutions. Then you have the Minister of Finance, chairman of multiple boards. So is the Minister of Commerce, chairman of multiple boards. The Minister of Education, chairman of multiple boards, Ministry of Lands and Mines. So they all start to get separate pays for those positions. Then it just doesn't add up. And the monies we're talking about here is not peanuts. Let's take the office of the president pro tempore. Last year was 2.1 million. This year is 1.9 million. And if you look at it, they divided that with salaries. Let me just do a simple breakdown so you can see. So there are total 1,530 personnel at the national legislature. So if you take that 1,530 personnel minus the 103 senators and representatives, mean you have 1,427 personnel at the legislature. But their salaries is already accounted for between the Senate and the House of Representatives, which I can show you. But then under the President pro tempore budget, he has an allotment of $595,854, and that money is divided into two. They allotted $341,604 for what? $341,604. Divide this by 12. That's about $28,000 a month. Who else is that money going to? How many employees does the office of the speaker have? But whatever number of employees he has is already accounted for on the pool fund at the legislature, which will open up. But then let's take the elected official himself. So the elected official has an allotment of $254,250. If you divide this by 12, it means the president pro tempore get an additional $21,187, different from the 9,000 something dollars that he collects monthly as a senator-elect of Grand Crew County. And we think this violates the law. But there is something else. All of the key lines like foreign travel, domestic travel, and all of these things that have already been allotted for under the Senate's budget is also allotted for under the President pro tem's budget. Then come on, they have a bulk amount. Now you see, if you go into the 2022 budget, this money was charged to operational expenses. This year, they created budget code 26, and the specific code is 263645, and they charge it to legislative committee hearings. And that, the president pro tem, for the whole year is going to get $1,137,577. Now, what the government is supposed to give any representative or senator to do his or her work, one is a car, which is allotted for under the budget. Two fuel, gasoline, per diem, budget for these hearings, and everything is allotted for under the Senate's budget. So why should we have a special budget for these individuals? And those budgets are clearly hurting our people. Liberia budget is small. We are a small country. Sierra Leone right next door is spending about 34% of our budget on education. We are spending less than 3% of ours on education. This money can do a lot for the University of Liberia. This money can do a lot for health in our country. And so we think it's become important to challenge these things. The second reason why it's become necessary, the second reason why it's possible, these are major political cases. You don't find law firms willing to take on them like that. Too many lawyers will hesitate because these are major political cases. And so when you do find the lawyers that are willing to take on them and you agree on the amount, then you flow. And that's precisely what has happened.
Thank you. Thank you for answering my question. Very detailed. I want to start, Mr. Fadiga, your first question, please.
Good evening on your side. It's almost afternoon. Yeah. Well, almost evening as well. The name sound familiar. I'm from Buchanan too, and I was listening to one of your interview, and you say you came from Buchanan. The name ring a
Right.
bell, but I still can't get my pulse on it yet. Um, but two questions. The first one is, if you look at our legislature, the opposition is more than the government. We have more opposition lawmakers than that of the CTC. And these things are passing right under the nose. And what we know for a fact is that the whole legislature is like a syndicate. They all protect one another in there. What are the chances of this even going anywhere? And are you succeeding in your litigation? And as a political leader of your party, what would be the Freeman solution to this problem?
So one, you see, this is not a political case. This is a judicial matter. So
Yeah.
this is a matter where the Supreme Court of Liberia will look at it and say, well, yes, you have a valid point. Or the Supreme Court would justify and say, well, yeah, these people have the right to be double paid. We will respect the position of the court, but it's our responsibility, those things that we have identified and suspect to be in violation of the law, to elevate it to the Supreme Court. At this rate, we're not at any of the lower courts, we're at the Supreme Court. So that means probably the full bench will look at it. Whatever the ruling is, out of the parties will probably take an appeal. That's why the hearing is slated for the 16th for the McDermotts and the 17th for the legislature. Notices have been served on them. So, of course, under the Freedom of Information Act, they will have to expose why we have these figures. So, yes, it is good to use these opportunities to challenge these things, hopefully to get the kind of outcome that we need.
But what would be the Freeman solution?
What would be a Freeman solution? If I were president, if I were president of Liberia, there are two ways to deal with these issues. One, to make the budget. You see, the budget is drafted by the government or by the Budget Bureau, which is under the Ministry of Finance and Development Planning. That's why it's called the Ministry of Finance and Development Planning, because you have the Planning Ministry, the Budget Bureau, and the Ministry of Finance under one roof. So the budget actually, according to the laws of Liberia, is the president's budget. The president collects the revenue. Don't forget, the LRA is under the executive. They collect the revenue, the total envelope, and they break it down into various projections. The Bureau of the Budget sends out notification to various structures of government and saying, look, this is what you spent last year. What is your budget for this year? So Ministry A may say, look, we want $34 million. The Budget Bureau will say, we can't afford that. This is what we have. So all of that anticipated expenditure is proposed and packaged in one envelope. And that envelope is called the budget. And that budget is presented to the legislature. So what I will do before presenting that budget is to have a civil society engagement where we can expose to our people. The budget is not a secret document. It is the total quantity of money collected and how it's going to be spent for the good of the people of Liberia. So when you have significant sharp, civil society engagement explaining the budget and who has what in the budget, before the budget is presented, you will have significant challenges erected. Can you imagine too many people, even journalists from the legislature that report, didn't know these things. Too many people don't have economic or accounting knowledge and may not be able to pick up the budget, understand these figures in depth. There may be few people in our country that have such a capacity. So it behooves us to have that knowledge to provide that information. Now, under my administration, then what will happen, we will have a lot of these civil society groups that will now come up to challenge these things. So the legislators will have the work cut off for them. Because if you have thousands of people at the legislature saying, look, we want this aspect removed, we want this for this, the budget is a public instrument. It makes it easier to get acquiescence at the legislature. you talk about many of the guys there come from the opposition. The thing is, don't forget, some of the limitations of our democracy is not like the UK or that of South Africa, where, for example, if something were wrong with George Weah tomorrow, the CDC could replace a president, right? Or if you ran on a party ticket, that party could replace you if you didn't align. So all of these guys that come from the opposition basically ran on the party ticket, but are not necessarily in line with the party principles, policies, or outlook. So they do their own thing, you know, if I could say typically. Basically because no political party, according to our constitution, has any recall vote leverage. So if a guy is elected, he's doing his own thing. But if we were to review our constitution to say you ran on an MPC ticket and the MPC can instruct you to vote like it's done in the UK, right? The party can recall you like it's done in South Africa. The party can recall you. You will find out that there's going to be massive party discipline. So you can have series of parties come together and say, look, Mr. Fadiga, you are our representative or you are our senator. This is how we want you to vote. You have something to be afraid of because we have the power to recall you. But such a thing doesn't exist under our laws nor in our constitution. So the probability of having people to be in compliance will always be slim, and you will have those who have access to the national envelope calling the shot. Because in the end, the guy's alignment is to himself and to the people he thinks he represents. And if his perspective of representation means that, well, I need some money to help my people in my district, then he will do those things that give him money to be of relevance to the people. And if the needs of the people are that they come to him for tuition, or somebody's wife is pregnant, or somebody's father died, if that's his understanding, then he's operating within the scope of his perspective. And those are some of the specific limitations of our democratic process.
Thank you. Yes, Mr. Fagan.
Let me say good evening to the political leader of the Movement for Progressive Change. I know you are strongly on the budget and going into the budget. And you talk about your press conference and what you all are doing to address the issues so as to ensure that our government is held accountable with regards to how they handle our monies. What are you doing to get other political parties to work along with you on this venture will be my first question. And the reason why I ask is because I don't know if you saw the resolution regarding the census from 7 political parties. 7 political parties signed the joint resolution. I heard you talking about the census. So my question to you, what are you doing to bring on board in this fight to ensure that our monies are not spent wrongfully or used unwisely? What are you doing to get other political parties on board? And when you're done with that, I'll ask the second question.
Yeah, so discussions have begun. I wouldn't say who I've sat with. I've sat with some of the key actors. Meetings are ongoing. I'm sure, in fact, every time I have met, we all see the need for us to work together on all of those points of commonality instead of celebrating our specific differences of who should be here and who shouldn't be here. We all agree. So this is a walk in the park. Just a matter of us coming together and putting pen to paper and taking one united position to ensure that we all can collaborate. So yes, that is on course. We're talking to people and they're quite receptive.
My second question would be, we know where the monies are in the budget. We know how they're going to be expanded. But my question is, what is your take on the census upon which so much money was spent? And what is your party's thoughts on the just ended so-called census?
So what we're doing is, and I don't want to preempt, but as part of our meetings, I think when we meet, I will be proposing that we start a wasn't counter movement. So we want to start a wasn't counter movement, like you heard me say in my press conference, where we can gather signatures, and we're hoping to raise up to 1 million. You can raise that just from within Monrovia. And that would be significant enough for the international community to see that the census was a sham. So yes, processes are on our way, and trust me, we're not sitting down, we're working.
Wow. Wow.
Thank you.
Wow. Mr. Johnson?
Oh, I think I was actually muted. Sorry there. No, thank you very much, Mr. Freeman. I'm just sitting here listening to you, and first of all, I'm wondering, given our setup and your advocacy, I want to go back to the issue you raised about the ombudsman, whose job is to promote fairness, accountability, and transparency in the public sector, actually by investigating public complaints and systemic issues within government entities and individuals responsible. Now, if the ombudsman is appointed by the president, is a presidential appointee, I really want to understand what you're trying to get at when President Weah, who we've seen with other institutions as well, can get a diehard partisan or whoever that supports and appoints and have someone. Are you just trying to have it done so that they can say it's done? Or do you believe that honestly, if an ombudsman is appointed by the government, that you would get transparent investigations and issues of public institutions as they are, or you just want to ensure the Constitution is followed?
Oh no, thank you. That's a very brilliant question. You see, even if the president appointed his brother as the ombudsman and he was passed, it creates a basis, a first point for a complaint. You know, if you have an ombudsman, you document violation, you send it forward to the office and it is ignored, then you have a solid basis for saying, we went to the ombudsman, nothing was done, so we coming to you. Like NEC, when there is an electoral violation, the court asks, have you gone to NEC first? Because that is what our law says. Go first to NEC. After NEC, then you go to the court. So that's how these things work. So yes, whoever he appoints, whether it is his brother, whether it is his friend, whoever it is, so far as that person is a Liberian, I don't think the law is restrictive about that. But then it creates a basis for us to engage to say, this person that you've appointed, this person has not done this, has not done that, has not done this. So that's what we want first, for the structure to be in place, and then we can document the violations, and then after that we can have a basis to go to the court and say, look, a law of Liberia, the code of conduct is being violated, and the ombudsman did nothing. So I think we need to just establish the first step.
So my next question would be to just follow up on that, since you said this, because I have one person I've argued that it is impossible to implement the Liberian Constitution. What the Constitution asks for is impossible to implement once, because all of the things needed to implement the Constitution do not exist. So how you expect to implement a Constitution? So I'll ask you the question about the Independent Human Rights Commission, which is supposed to be a very important organization or setup in our country, like we've seen with other countries that have engaged the UN and human rights bodies that have brought some very powerful outcomes for human rights abuses. In Liberia, human rights abuses are just wanton, from women to girls to students. You just name it. You can name almost anything in Liberia, and there's a freedom of human rights abuses from government, from individuals, from other institutions. How come this scenario that you just play out with the ombudsman that you're saying, how come for so many years and decades, our Independent Human Rights Commission has sat there, and the president appoints, by the way, the president appointed somebody, there's a commissioner right now, but the scenario you're laying out, I've never seen that happen with the Independent Human Rights Commission anyway, and nobody seems to care. Everybody just accepted that it is that way. How can you then say it will be any different with the situation of the ombudsman?
So, Mr. Johnson, you see, one of the biggest weaknesses of the Liberian law is not that the Constitution is weak, it's not that the courts are weak. It is that we, the Liberians, have the biggest responsibility and problem with the implementation. So let's take it that the Independent Human Rights Commission has a lot of limitations. The violations that you have seen, why having individual groups, whether it is yourself, whether it is myself, whether it's the individual persons, take it to court. These are some of the things I get. Is anything going to come out of it? No, no, no. I don't care if something comes out of it. What I care about is we've put the court in a position to interpret a law of Liberia where we see a violation.
So what's
so
the
like I
role
said,
of the
I was,
Human Rights
I
Commission?
was, well, yeah. So the point is, if an independent human rights commission that is funded by government does not do its work, it doesn't mean if I am aggrieved, I can't do my work. That's why we've always gone to court. We've gone to court on many fronts, whether it's the Wambodiki issue, whether it was the Samoka issue, whether it is the issue now, whether it was the time we didn't think Madam Selly qualified to contest the presidency. We've gone to court and we've tested the law. So you see, I think all of these different violations that you've spoken about, even though you haven't stated them specifically, but I agree with you. But what can happen, today we have Sendwave. Today there are lots of civil society groups. I think when people like you in the diaspora raise $20, $100, $300, $500 and send it to a specific civil society group that you trust and say, take up this issue, take up this violation. Like I was saying the other day, there are people that were talking about one girl died in one Lebanese man's yard, and a women group were making noise. The government should do this, government should do that. And I said, look, if I were the women group, we will put money together and sue that Lebanese man for all that he's worth. The girl died in his yard. Let him disclaim. Just now we're suing civilly. Criminally, government has to prosecute. But you see, what do? We permit things to walk away. We permit things to fly, and so it fly. When the city corporation came to our business to shut it down, they don't have any such right. We went to court, and the case is being called, and I'm not leaving it. We will see it to the very end. So, Bossman, you see, I'm one of those people who believe that we must fix our country. The reason why America is strong, Europe is strong, because they test the law. But if we don't test the law and we depending on Independent Human Rights Commission, because they are funded by government, they do nothing, so we do nothing, and we say, oh, the laws don't work. No, I've gone to court severally. I've sued private institutions, I've won. I've sued public institutions, I've won. Because I believe in our laws. The judges are not gods, but they try to do the right. And I think I encourage all Liberians, if we keep the courts basic, if public officials know that, look, we can't just walk because we have a society that's not going to permit this, there will be lots of compliance, and I think things will fall in place. But typically what we do is we throw our hands in the air. Forget about independent human rights. If you violate me in any way, then violate me to such extent that I don't live. Because if I live, I'm going to fight you with all that I've got, and that includes the courts.
So just a quick follow-up, Dr. Richardson, please. Do you believe the average Liberian citizen, Mr. Freeman, has the ability and financial capacity that you have to remain in court endlessly to try and seek justice? Do you believe the average Oma in Rayla whose daughter gets killed, or the girl who was found in the Lebanese man yard whose daughter was murdered with no proper outcome, do you believe they have the financial capacity and ability to pursue the government or any other person in the Liberian courts?
So, Mr. Johnson, you know, that's the beauty. Today, when you go on Facebook, one guy, I've forgotten his name, he's a journalist, he goes around and look for vulnerable people, and he sends an alert, and people send him Sendwave. You know, thank God our times have changed. Mr. Fargon knows, Dr. Richardson knows, you guys know that as well. You've mobilized money on this show. If Spoon FN wants to work for good, you can mobilize resources. The woman in real life is not a lawyer. I'm not a lawyer. What you can do for her is mobilize the resources and let the lawyer go to court and give her justice. It is only when the people of the country start to push for what is right that you see we're going to have the society that we want. But if we just fold our hands and give up on the situation, The America you're talking about, the America people are in, Canada, the Europe, that's how it was built. Individuals fought for civil rights. When you hear about Rosa Parks, she said, I'm not getting off this bus. She took a stand. When you hear about Martin Luther, he took a stand. It cost him his blood. It cost him his sweat. He took a stand. So I think let's use the technology of today. Today there's WhatsApp. Today there's SendWave. You can just send the money. You don't even need money. I mean, what MoneyGram and what Western Union anymore. You just send a $20. If 500 people put $20 together, it's a significant money. The lawyer can then put a document together. Plea for man married as in Rela, whose daughter is violated. Bingo, we get justice. And then somebody that is a violator realizes that, hey, if I violate, there are consequences. So that's all we're trying to do. Set a role model. I mean, set the path straight for people to know that our courts can be tested, tried, and our courts are very good.
Thank you. If you're just joining us, we have Mr. Simeon Freeman here, a breath of fresh air in terms of giving us some ideas for how we can make our country a better place. Mr. Freeman, in your comments, if you can also introduce yourself, it will be helpful because a lot of our panelists might not know you, and also a lot of our viewers might not know you or who you are. I think we know you, so it was just a start of the conversation. But I'm going to go to Colonel Remy Gray, who has his next question for you, and then Salamatu. But also, if you can introduce yourself to the audience, that'll be also helpful. Mr. Gray, please.
And just to piggyback, one of the strongest institutions we used to have was the Catholic and Justice Peace Commission. Very strong. Gone are the days when you have those kinds of independent body checking government or balancing the power, the power. But you spoke about uniform code violation, and it brings to mind Article 133 of the UCMJ, violating uniform or conduct unbecoming, you know, a uniform person. Also, it's also reflected in a new national police law of the Act of 2015, I want to say. Um, those are grievous crimes when you use your uniform to violate the public trust or the expectation under a constitution. My question to you: who are some of the components that proponents that are on your side to ensure that these kinds of laws are not violated because they derail the very integrity or undercurrent of our democracy? Who are some of the lawyers or people on your legal team?
Well, I will not call their name publicly, but we have some very good lawyers that are assisting the process, and they've done significant research. And when it comes to the area of the economic portion of some of the narratives, I've done some write-off for them, and they're doing a very good job. But yeah, they will be equal on the 16th and 17th of March this month to be able to look into some of these issues. And I really want to salute them for taking up the case in the first place. But yes, they're very seasoned lawyers and they know what they're about.
Thank you, Mr. Freeman. And you know, in my opinion, I believe that one of the ways to reinforce integrity in electioneering is by ensuring that we uphold this digital or biometric expectation. And I'm seeing that it's still on the table as an option to to conduct our electioneering in Liberia. Do you see? Do you have any reason to believe that this administration will not sustain that expectation? Rather, they will revert to the old business as usual. As he has.
That's a brilliant question, Connor. Great. The thing is, listen, upholding these things is always dependent on the actors. Like I said to some of my colleagues privately who were talking, no one opposition political party has all of the resources to to pay pool washers to man all of the polling stations. So let's take the experience of Nigeria, where the various parties have said the guys hesitated in uploading the information to the INEC. So in their case, you still have to deal with individuals that have collated the information from a point to translate it. And if the guys say, look, there were internet glitches or whatever else, that's going to be that. But if you have requisite representatives on site, then you're going to avoid that. This is why it plays into the fact that, irrespective of our individual ambition and aspiration, there is a need for us to collaborate on all of those points of interest to ensure we're not wasting resources for nothing. And that's precisely, what that brings us to. Like, this is Liberia's first time trying an electronic voter registration system. You expect there to be problems. Ghana has tried it. There's been problems. Every system clearly has problems. So I think what we can do from the opposition standpoint is to collaborate on those points of interest. For example, we can say Party E. Can you cover Grand Bassa County, all of the polling stations? Do you have the resources? You say yes. We say Party B. Can you cover Lofa? You say yes. How many people we actually need and what resources you have? So we can say, okay, look, to the NEC, that these are the people representing us in this county. We can set up a war room where information will pull from different places. So these are the kinds of models I'm looking at and discussing with my colleagues, so we can begin to engage each other along those lines. And that's why it's important that we collaborate to be able to see what are the weaknesses, what are the strengths of this new system that we have not tried before.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, Salamatu, you have 2 questions, please.
Yeah, well, good afternoon to everyone, and welcome again, Mr. Freeman. It's great to see you. Great to hear from you. I honestly don't have a question. I think most of the questions that I had, the panelists asked. I just want to say thank you, and we need to continue reminding the Liberian people that our responsibilities as citizens is to consistently challenge the government constructively. And we should not be driven by, oh, I don't have money. We should be driven by, we need to fix the system. Nobody's going to come and fix our system for us. It takes sacrifice. The other thing I wanted to point out, a lot of times when we say, oh, people don't have money, people don't have money. Have we ever in Liberia done a class action lawsuit? Have we come together? One of our greatest mistakes that we make is collaboration. We choose not to collaborate. We're seeing it with the political parties, and we're seeing it again, with everything that's happening. People are throwing their hands up and saying, oh, there's nothing I can do. There's nothing I can do. But I mean, I applaud you. I applaud your party for taking on, those are tough cases, and, good luck. And yeah, I honestly, I just enjoy listening to you.
Yes.
Thank you so much, madam.
Thank you. I want to just say here, if you're just joining us, we have Mr. Simeon Freeman here. Please share the show, call someone to watch you. This is really fascinating information he's giving us here today.
Maybe I think we should begin to say we have the leader of the movement for progressive change.
Well, yes, thank you.
I'm sure we would have said we have the ANC leader here, Mr. Alexander.
Yes, thank you for correcting me publicly, Mr. Fagon. Thank you.
I was ready to tell the people, how can we say I be calling your family?
Well, that's why I gave him the opportunity to introduce himself. That's why he's going to do that. But I can be trying not to make nobody mistake here with nobody name and position.
Please be calling our new party name, please.
People are aligning and aligning. Anyway, let me just ask you one question. Yes. So someone, Richard Twe, said on the live feed, he said the court is the right course of action, but the system is rotten. Okay. And I want you to hold that thought as I ask you my question. Do you have hope that the law will be applied or implemented judicially instead of partisan approach to make a judgment in the case that you took to the court already, to make a judgment in the interest of the Liberian people?
You know, there are some issues that are so glaring that even if I want to help you as my friend, it's difficult for me to. And these cases, they're very difficult for anybody to. You know, and I'll tell you what, this assumption that, oh, the court system in Liberia is rotten, is this, is that, I don't hold that view. I don't hold that view because I've tried the court severally, and trust me, I've gotten what I wanted every time I went to court. So the truth is, we don't try the court, and we don't try the court because we make these assumptions. You know, it behooves any country. They say power corrupts, and power corrupts absolute. Power corrupts, and absolute power corrupts absolutely. So in every respect, I think when people have power, they will try some shenanigans. But if we are able to push them, you know, through our court system, we keep the court busy, and the court itself, because it's so busy, we realize that, Lord, we can support certain things. So yes, I clearly believe in the court system, and I encourage all Liberians to begin to pursue that. But she made a point. People don't have the money, but people can collaborate. When you see people, somebody is sick, oh, my daughter, then they get onto public infrastructure to mobilize money. Mobilize money for legal cases as well. Pay the lawyer, go to court, and let's see how it works out.
Yes. So again, introducing the movement for progress for Democrat for Development (MPC), Movement for Progress for Development (MPC), Mr. Simeon Freeman. Okay, I said it wrong.
No, you said it right.
Movement
MPC, but you put a development
movement for movement for progressive change.
Okay, movement for.
You know, I've been trying to get Dr. Chinoway to come to the MPC because she has all this brilliance.
Can we tell what our conversation for?
No.
I'm a second question. Hey, you see me some papa. Moving forward. We are moving forward. Mr. Freeman, let me just ask you, okay? Under the Freeman's government, how would you empower women politically, psychologically, financially in Liberia?
What was the question, ma'am?
Under the Freeman's government, should you be elected? Should your party be elected, okay, by the Liberian people? How would you empower women politically, psychologically, and financially?
So you see, the way I look at it, I'm not going to look at women as a separate entity, because then that makes the effort lazy. I'm going to look at job creation as a whole. And the reason why job creation as a whole is extremely important, because there are serious things happening. You know, the other day I was in Peace Island, where we launched our meeting arrangement with those women before we went to Basel and all that. I was surprised. One Pempen guy has 3 different women pregnant right now. So let's take that you have 5,000 of those situations. That's multiple babies. Practically, the father is not going to take care of the responsibility, and that's going to be a problem for women, and that has been the problem for women. People like us came out of where our mothers were single mothers, so I clearly understand what that means for that child. So the truth of the matter is, that's why you see I'm quite focused on industrialization, using public resources for the private sector. So what I want to do under my administration, God's willing, is, and we're about to have a show for that, where we're going to be bringing together about 10 stations sometimes this week to be able to discuss job creation. If you look in our budget, last year we spent $125 million on recurring expenditure. We spent another $158 million on non-financial assets. That's basically generators, the cars, and all those things. That's almost $300 million spent out of our budget on things that brought no real specific return. What I want to do under my administration is to repurpose that money and create value addition infrastructure. I want to add value to the cassava, add value to the sugar cane, add value to the rice, so we don't have to be importing rice. This is about $300 million per annum market. Think about, if we just focus on rice, even over the next 2 years, and we were to reduce our rice importation by 50%, that's going to be about $150 million circulating domestically. The succeeding year, sugar alone, sugar is a multi-billion dollars product across Africa. Think about the fact that if we were just producing sugar from Liberia and exporting it to the rest of West Africa, think about how many women will have jobs. Think about how many women will be able to put food on the table. Think about how many child will now have a future. I grew up in a home where we used to cook 6 o'clock in the evening. And many times when my mother cooked, because we were in Bassa, she used to put, the pepper in the food, we call it salmon meat, and you put a pour in, and the food, basically, you fold because there's a lot of pepper, it's going to burn you, drink a lot of water. I know what it is to go through those kinds of difficulties. But if you give the women jobs, then what's going to happen? The woman will be able to say no when she actually doesn't want you, and say yes when she actually wants you. But when you totally have no economic base, you lost the capacity to determine whether you want a guy or not. Your only basis now is that he has resources. We need to put our women to work. We also need to put our young people to work. You have a significant portion of Liberia's population under the age of 30. Think about what's happening to their lives. We need to give them jobs so they can work, so they can have a sense of purpose. We also need to relook at our educational infrastructure. Like I said, I'm taking 2 hours on these stations because I want to spend real time breaking these things down so we can understand why we need to invest in jobs. If we don't do that, we're clearly shooting ourselves in the foot. Today in Liberia, the challenges we have is because of the neglect from yesterday. Today, people don't really discuss political issues. What they discuss, how you were nice to me. You elect a man because he built you road, because he brought you rice, because he did something in your community. That shouldn't be the basis. The basis should be, what has he done for himself? How does he intend to transform our country? Those are some of the limitations we have in. And I think on our Simeon Freeman presidency, I'm very much determined to change that. So for women, give them job, that restores their dignity. That will restore their pride. It will enable them to take care of the children and to build a financial future for themselves.
I just want to follow up a little bit, Mr. Freeman. So do you believe that women are marginalized in society, sometimes discriminated, even when the jobs are available, they do not come to women because some men feels like a woman is less than or less prepared to do the job? And if you do or do not, would you strengthen laws to prevent discrimination or
Oh yeah, if we notice on our Simeon Freeman presidency, simple, there are tools. Then we come up with an affirmative action program where we say, okay, look, every private institution must have at least 60% women employed, because now we've done the population dynamics and we see you have more women. Then we introduce an affirmative action. And what the affirmative action will do, it will compel you to have at least 60% women in your employ, whether it's a factory or whatever else. And certain programs will be targeted at women at that point in time. But at this stage, these things are spoken about, they haven't been established. So what we can do under the circumstance is to be able to protect it at that point in time. But look, on our Simeon Freeman, there will be too many jobs. Look, let's take one product, cassava. If you took cassava, you can get industrial starch from cassava. That's imported by people like Mittal and the mining industry in our country from elsewhere. You can also get a regular starch for starch spray. Then you also talk about farina that you can put milk in. You talk about flour. You talk about glue for the furniture industry. How many people know that the glue you use comes out of cassava? I mean, it's a whole range. And there is something called sorbitol that also comes from cassava. The beer industry globally uses it. So one product, you can have more than 100 factories throughout this country adding value to that one product, cassava.
Thank you.
So much possibility that we're sitting on.
Thank you. Mr. Fadiga.
Hi, Mr. Freeman. I think I was just going through the comments here and seeing like people seem to be people seems to be enjoying your response. I have two quick questions. Assuming that you're going to be one day President Freeman, I want to look at your first 100 days. What are some of the things you're going to be tackling? And in those 100 days, is there going to be anything about prosecuting current government official if they are found, that name comes up in any kind of corruption scandal? Should I just add a second one, or you want to go with that first?
Go with the second one.
The second one, you spoke a lot about collaboration. And we all know the way to win an election in Liberia is practically almost the way our election is set up is almost impossible for just one person to win. Are you in any kind of, or are you thinking of any kind of collaboration? If so, where are you leaning? Where do you, if you had a choice? Because right now, we keep hearing Boyka, CPP and the UP, and those are the only two names that I've got. Tiawan Gonglo, Prince Johnson. The field is still open, but the two permanent right now is something. Are you thinking in any of those directions? If anything, you can hint us, or you can choose to keep it to your
But
chest.
and let me just deal with the last one before I go to the second one.
Yeah.
That's the problem of the Liberian landscape. The first thing you meet a woman, I want you to be my wife. She will say, my friend, what do you know me from to even marry you? So the reality is, there's as soon as we come together, who's going to be the head, who's not going to be the head. That's why these things fail. If we were coming together to even collaborate on points of commonalities, common challenges, like I'm now trying to propose, for us to get ahead or a second would be easy. But the first thing we want to do, who's here, who's not here. And that's why
Eventually,
I'm
there will
thinking
have
of
to be
you.
a head, though.
Huh?
Eventually, there will have to be a head.
Yeah. But you see, when me and Mr. Fadiga can talk more often, he visits me, I visit him. We discuss issues. I appreciate his brilliance. I feel confidence in the way he articulates. Then you know what? It's easy for me to say, okay, you know what? I think I can support this guy. So I'm taking a point where we take some shortcuts and engage on points of common interest where we know these are things we can easily collaborate on. I think that's a better step in my mind. The other thing that has to do with a government, I tell you what, if I were president today, the first thing I would do with a stroke of a pen, I'm going to defund 60% of public institutions. But, Bossman, take the budget. National Commission on Small Arms, National Food Assistance Agency. I mean, the list is long. You're looking at the thing, we got 100 and something institutions. And the question have always been, how are you going to pay these? Are you going to fire these people? No. The total budget, we're spending about $314 million is total 296 plus another 14. So that's about, I think, 304 million or so, or 310 million on our wage bill. So I can pay you that money and still save the 158 and the 125. So I can still save about $100 million annually by defunding those kinds of institutions. But you're still going to be receiving the pay while I'm transitioning you to a private sector. So we take $100 million, invested in the private sector, add value. That private sector that's now adding value, the people working for government on that free payroll will be the first beneficiary to be transitioned. People forget corruption, Bossman, is greed. Greed will only express itself if it has the opportunity to. If I want to give Dr. Richardson money and I give it to you and don't tell her how much, I just say I gave Mr. Fadiga money. If you jam, you might take some. But if I tell her, do you have a Sandwave account? Yeah, I want to give her money and give her money directly. It doesn't come through you. You wouldn't have an opportunity. So I'm saying some of the problems we're having are self-inflicted. We create all these multiple agencies, multiple bureaus, load them up, give them government money. So working in government is the way to go. I'm having a problem with that. And that's why I want a whole new approach so that 5 million people collecting about $500 million, that 80% of that money go to the people and not to the government. That's why everybody wants to be in government. That's why government is the way to go. That's why the private sector is not.
Does that mean you have not chosen any political party yet? Because
Oh, no, okay,
I've done
okay, I
heard
skipped that. No, I skipped that. The thing is, like I said earlier, maybe you didn't pick up, sir. We in talks with parties, right? We in talks with various parties on forming a grand alliance, and these are not things you want to put within the public space. I can tell you, and now here I spoke to John, I spoke to Paul, I spoke to Peter. No, so we're keeping it private. We're talking behind the scenes. Hopefully, we should be able to structure some kind of arrangement that protects everybody's interest, that can deal with the common issues. And I'm sure, hopefully, we'll be able to form some kind of alliance where a president and vice president is structured. But it has to be gradual.
Mr. Fagon.
Let me ask a question of the party leader talking.
Now, what the party leader?
The Great Alliance.
Oh, I don't think so, man. All right.
You heard him saying behind the scene, we are organizing for this great alliance to come together. So we're not putting it in the public space. Then you want me to put it in the public space?
I know he's the leader of the Movement for Progressive Change, MPC.
Which by extension is a part of the Great Alliance.
Okay. If you're just joining us, we have the leader.
Let me ask my question. You know I got to make that smile come out of your face.
Of course, I know. Go ahead.
I see the talk about Pastor and how beautiful it was. I saw you twitching your eye like, I won't go there. Now you want me from Maryland to go Pastor again.
Yeah.
It's all right.
My brother,
the country beautiful.
Yes.
Me and Salimatu will pay our horse in Nimba. Snow can fall there.
Yeah, you causing problem for me.
The problem will be long. He's tired. Honorable Freeman, we've seen time and time again. It's been a difficult task for Liberian oppositions or opposition political parties to kind of drop their personal or just drop the party agenda for a second, or it's difficult for us to see the political leader drop his ambition of being president. How are you going to these negotiations? Is it like some of the comments we've heard that Mr. X can never be vice president? Or Mr. Y, if he's not on the ballot, then there is no agreement. How are you approaching these agreements?
Yeah, so the thing is, like I said, one of the biggest mistakes is we don't collaborate on points of commonality. So our approach is, let's collaborate on points of commonality. In another 30 days, 60 days, I'm sure, we would have had a deeper appreciation of each other. But one consolation is clear. The lessons of Nigeria is lingering in the sub-region. If you decide to go it alone, and you think the international community will not recognize whoever is announced by the National Elections Commission as president, then you're in dreamland. They would not hesitate, like you saw them do in Nigeria, to recognize the elected president. So we all are taking cue from that. And guess what? I think as we begin to collaborate on these points of interest, that is going to compel us coming together to solve a lot of the problems.
My second question would be to the effect that too often to get these things going, it's a difficult thing because you have the bystander effect or the wait and see posture from most of our political leaders wherever they are. It's as if to say they like, let's see what Mr. Freeman would do. Then John said, I think they're working on it. I heard people are talking, we are talking. Are you going to take the lead when it comes to working on commonalities, as you expressly said, with respect to these negotiations or engagements?
So,
oh yes, I have already.
Can I just make the announcement that there's a possibility that you'll be dropping off a little bit and then joining us? So just wanted the audience and you to know. Okay, go ahead.
Right. Yeah. So yes, I'm taking the lead. I'm talking to the different actors, and the different actors are not as difficult as is suggested. They're very much keen to some of these suggestions, and they're open to it. They understand the challenges are bar, and they know that this cannot be a one-man game. Anybody who believe that they can raise the kind of money needed to beat an existing, a sitting government. You need more than $100 million to beat, a sitting president. And we have to get serious. Even if you had $100 million, there is no telling whether people could see some of that money that you could give 500,000, 50,000. So, but when we come together, then there will be a bigger commitment and a bigger commitment to the cause that there is a likelihood of winning. And I think everybody clearly understands that language. There is absolutely no doubt whatsoever about that. So the guys are not as difficult, but I think we just probably weren't talking to each other. And I'm very hopeful that somehow we'll be able to structure something.
Okay, thank you. Leo? Mr. Johnson?
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Freeman. Thank you very much. I mean, I think many Liberians can agree that you are one of those people who spend a lot of time on these things, giving your expertise and your experience in business as well, whether it's from DSTV and multiple of your other engagements that you have been with. And I'm glad that you're bringing this to the public. But your critics may wonder, one thing we are used to in Liberia is great talkers who went to some of the great schools and have some of the great experiences, from the Dr. Amos Claudia Sawyer to the H.B. Famulas of the world, like brilliant people. There's no debate about that, except that they talk to us about everything that's possible, but none of them, from the Emmanuel Boyer to all of them, were actually able to do anything about it except they were in government. And Liberians have complained about that a lot. We've seen that historically to be a thing, that everybody seems to only be able to implement these great plans when they're in government. The question becomes, is it not possible that someone like yourself, with the expertise, experience, and understanding that you have, that within a reduced capacity, because we all understand, and the powers and institutions that come to play when you're in government or when you're the president, nobody can compete with that, or nobody can compare it to anything. But within your own sphere, some of the things that you have described, some of the things that you have talked about, someone may ask, what has been your exploit in some of these great agricultural ideas that you have put forth, given that you have access to resources, access to knowledge and connections? What has been your exploits when it comes to the different sectors that you have named, empowerment of women, some of the things that you've talked about? What have you done, or are you in the same situation where unless you become president, you don't see any other way that you are able to accomplish some of these within your means? That would be my first question.
Brilliant comment and question. You spoke about it yourself. So the Simeon Freeman brand is different. We built multiple businesses in Liberia. We've created employment, and we continuously do that. As part of that, we talk about the Freeman City, which is a $100 million investment that's coming online. We talk about the factory that we've transformed from a 5,000 bottles per hour to a 25,000 bottles per hour. That's going to create job. We just leased a hotel that's now operating. That has also created lots of jobs. We also are going to start building another dwelling within Mama Point. We acquire 1 acre of land there. So all of these things create the kind of jobs that we've created. Have we gone to agriculture? No, we have not. But I can't do everything. I'm just one person. And so maybe Mr. Johnson would join us and start the process of adding some of the value that needs to be added to create some of the jobs that we all can. And I think when we throw these ideas out, it creates the awareness that people didn't have before. And somebody could say, oh, yes, I can add this value and I could add this value. But in my own capacity and in my own way, I've done some of those things that needs to be done to provide the jobs that has been created.
Thank you. My second question will be to you. You've been on this quest for a while now, trying to become president, which is your right. And you've put forth, in my opinion, you've made some serious cases around why someone like yourself could become president of Liberia and probably do a good job at it as well.
Right.
My question to you is, don't you think you only help the ruling governments that you tend to criticize, for good reasons that you've laid out, win elections when people like you split the votes in multiple directions and have never been able to win? Do you think you have a possibility or a pathway to winning the presidency? Or do you think finding people who closely align with your ideology that might have a chance of winning the presidency, joining their quest rather than maintaining a perpetual political party every election running to win and not getting close?
So, Mr. Johnson, I remember when I spoke to one African president in West Africa. He said he ran 4 times, 3 times, on the 4th time before he won. The guy who won in Nigeria now have had that quest for a while, and he finally fulfilled it. I've never been a quitter. Every time I run, I feel I learn. I learned from the previous election that it's not your eloquence that's going to make you win. You have to, in every respect, go to the people and be seen to be giving them those things that they really want, because that's the language they understand. That's why this time around, we're doing it differently. I wish you could come join me and see the things that we're going to do in Grand Bassa County, because we're going to spend a lot of money to do a lot of projects in Bassa in the coming days. And I wish you were at Peace Island when we committed the $4 million for women. We're also going to be committing another $10 million Liberian dollars for some other group of people. So we're doing quite a lot in different places. And I think you should follow the Simeon Freeman brand. Even this case that's ongoing right now costs a lot of money as well.
Yeah, thank you very much. So do you
Just
think
say
you
a
can win the
bill
election?
for recruiting, oh.
Yeah, so do you
Just say
think
a bill for
the
recruiting.
person was saying the bill
Right.
for trying to recruit me, right?
Right.
But I guess my
So
question
look,
to you, Mr. Freeman, was: do you think, are you convinced now that you have a shot at winning the elections?
oh yeah, no, for me, it's not just about a shot at winning the election. It's about us collaborating to be able to get the best candidates for a better Liberia. So the whole concept of trying to work with different actors is for us together to be able to build the kind of structure that's needed to win an election. No one party will be able to beat a ruling establishment that easily unless we pull ourselves together. So yes, I'm fully aware of that.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Gray.
And of course, I'm here to explore the Freeman City that you proposed maybe a couple of years ago, maybe just last year, that by the end of 2022, we're going to see a Freeman City, just like you have. But just a side piece. Given the fact that we've had so many declarations, the Ganta Declaration, I've heard the Farmington, I've had political organizations coming together to correlate around one purpose. We've seen people not honoring those kinds of agreement when it comes to harnessing them. My question to you: do you think there's the need for an all Liberian conference where you bring all the parties together on the table?
Well, if you even were to call a conference, it will be the individual that has to avail himself. So I think, these things are best resolved when one of the actors in the industry serves as a sacrificial lamb, go to the different actors, um, have discussions that recognize excuse me, discussions that recognizes their fears and isolate those fears, then we will be able to come together under one roof and speak with each other and be confident. People have their own issues. People have their own distrust issues. People have their own fears. And I think it is when we all begin to talk that we'll come to that point. So if you were to call an all Liberian conference, people may most probably not show up. Yes, we've had a contact declaration, but the Ganta Declaration may have succeeded to an extent, but whatever the failures are, at least we learn lessons from it. Democracy is an evolving process. Many times we discuss Liberia's democracy like it's in isolation. What's about in America? In America, the Democratic Party is called the Democratic Party, but under that Democratic Party, you have hundreds of parties with different mindset, different perspective, different way to see things. So I think we have not been able to yet come up with one united framework that has many parties, but we're still talking about the act of collaboration. And I think the fact that we're even talking about collaboration, it creates a basis for people like you to be hopeful, for other people to be hopeful that yes, some kind of framework is now being worked out. It may not include everybody, but it may include most people, and that most people may be sufficient enough to take us forward. And so I'm hopeful that somehow we'll structure some kind of framework to take us forward.
Thank you. Your other question, Mr. Gray?
This age-old recognition that our recurring expense as a country outweighs our budget. Some people have put that number as 60%, 70% of what is inclusive in our budget goes to recurring expenditure. If you were president today, where do you think waste in government lies most?
What do I think I will what? I didn't hear the last word,
No,
sir.
waste. Like you talked
Oh,
about
okay.
you outlined.
Yeah. So, Mr. Gray, I can see. I don't know. I'm guessing wild. Are you above 50?
Yes.
If you're above 50, then the Ministry of Commerce, Industry, and Transportation in the 80s used to be one ministry.
Yes.
We saw it expanded under former late President Samuel Doe to about 5 public institutions. Today you have so McClure Dapo was minister. I think she's late or she's alive. She used to be Minister of Commerce. She's alive. Okay, I apologize for that. She used to be Minister of Commerce, and then she was moved as the first Minister of Transport. And then there was another person brought in as Minister of Commerce. And then they spread it out. Now you have the National Airport Authority, you have the Liberia Airport, all kinds of things. You have the industrial, all kinds of things that come out of that one ministry. So, Bossman, do we really need a Minister of Transport for license? Do we need a Minister of Transport for license plate? Do we need a Minister of Transport to grant airline permits? We have to get serious and ask ourselves some questions. So, we have many areas of waste. That's why I'm saying I'm going to shut them down. But I'm not going to shut it down where I'm gonna let it hurt anybody. We're gonna give you the salary for free, but we'll move it. But these are areas of waste. So you can still have 20 people or 15 people working under the Ministry of Commerce. You can have director for transportation, all right, working under that Minister of Commerce that can enable those processes rather than have a whole building, a whole ministry, a whole private expense. Then you have another industrial something. All these things just eating money. Then several years ago, you had the Ministry of Lands, Mines, and Energy. It's been broken down. Now you have what? I think lands, what do you call it? National Commission for Lands or something. So something separate. So you have all of these different things that have been created. Thank you. Bureau Land Commission, all those kinds of things. So we have many areas of waste, Bossman. And because we have all these multiple areas of waste, if we don't try to target them, repurpose the expenditure, we're always going to have it. And that's what's really hurting us. All I want to do is to bring that private sector experience so that we can repurpose the money. Taxation is for the people of Liberia, and the people of Liberia must truly benefit, whereby we use the money to create industries. The white people country, what they do, if they have to print trillions of dollars during COVID, about $7 trillion, they printed it to add to the industrial infrastructure. In our case, when we print money to pay payroll, and then inflation rises.
Yes. All right. If you're just joining us, we have the political leader of the Movement for Progressive Change here, Mr. Simeon Freeman. And we're going to go to Salimatu right now, and then he's going to give us, actually, we're going to go to the phone lines for at least 5 calls, and then he's going to give us his closing comments before we do our closing comments. It is 5:40 right now. Salimatu?
Okay, yeah. So I do have 2 questions. I think one of my questions focus around the war and economic crimes court. We're talking a lot about building our economy, but when we look at the need to provide closure for the victims, because we haven't done that, it seemed like, all these great ideas more than likely going to get stuck. We look at Morocco, we look at Sierra Leone, we look at South Africa, and even in the case of Rwanda, where they actually took the recommendation of the TRC to provide some kind of closure for the victims in order to move forward. What is your take on our lack of willpower to implement the War Crimes Court as recommended by the TRC? It's my first question, and then I'll ask the second question.
So the issue of the TRC has been a sticky point because the TRC recommended those things, but for it to be passed, it has to be passed by the legislature. And unfortunately, a lot of the actors in the legislature have some level of exposure. So passing it may be a problem. So my take has been, and I even said it on the show, look, do you need a special war crimes court to punish people who actually violated people's rights? My answer again is a resounding no. If we can mobilize money, if we can mobilize $2 million, $1 million, 500,000, what do we need? We need a few things. One, we need lawyers that are willing to go to the civil law court, prosecute. That's one. Two, oops.
Something just happened, Mr. Freeman, with your network and camera.
Yeah, you touched something there.
Yeah, your whole camera is upside down.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure he's gonna come back. And that was a great question, Salamatu, you asked.
Yeah, I want to ask my second question. He got to answer you.
Yeah, he's gonna come back, and let's hold him to that, please. A great show.
He's actually coming back
here. And we're just gonna monitor our time so far. Start planning your closing because again we're running against time, and I want to make sure that we're out of here. So why are you laughing at me? don't give us stuff. I'm so they can't call me here.
Well, no, that your audience are laughing at too. They all are missing 6 o'clock.
that Fago who started that thing. But good day, you have an announcement for us. So you want to just share with the public as we wait, because at least we can fill our free time tomorrow.
I've been talking to myself. Tomorrow, the Secretary General of the National Patriotic Party, Mr. Andrew Peters, will be appearing here as the guest to speak on the Hulubala in their party. I don't know, they are becoming the next Liberty Party. There was a statement that was issued where they suspended the chairman, and on yesterday, the 5th, the chairman also issued a statement, that is his version, issued a statement also suspending the vice president. And they wrote also a communication to the National Elections Commission saying that the document that was signed by the NPP is illegal. They did not approve it. So we expect all of those things to be talked about tomorrow.
Okay, great. Mr. Simeon texted me he's getting his device charged. So as we wait, any thoughts? Anybody like to add? Yes,
I think, good day. Thank you for that brilliant job. And I think we should also announce that St. Andrew Peter is coming on, if any one of the two, that is the legitimate chairman. And I speak with the authority of the court document that James Barney is the legitimate chairman, along with the chairman who was selected by the VP, at least just to not allow one person, if they want to come and debate the issue, that's what Spoon is about. They should contact you so that it don't look like we're giving preference to one side. And I think James said something, he said they're trying to look like Liberty Party. James, they're not trying to.
That's Salamandu Party you're talking to. That's
yes, Salamandu Party you're talking about. You're not
James,
trying
I
to.
will not go in there with you. But I don't think they're trying to look like they are now because the communication was received by NEC today and they cited constitutional provision. And to my recollection, they said the court ruled before that Chairman Barney, according to their constitution, Article 5, Section 1, was the only one.
You're going to save the thing for tomorrow.
Yeah, so, no, I just wanted to tell James, I put not turning to Liberty Party. I think put leading Liberty Party on.
That's Salamatu Bene like you defending Liberty Party. First time you defending Liberty Party.
Yeah, good point.
Yeah, you're not
I never hear a minister defending Liberty Party.
No, let me tell you something. Somebody called me to say, somebody called me to say he put in Salamatu in Seletuleu. I said, what it calls Seletuleu? The person say higher. Once Salamatu move on the show, she can be in trouble. Okay. I said, but you know the guys talking are real on social media or Conograde. The guy can be going, all right, I don't like peace. I like trouble. They be going checking people food and you know all those kind of things.
Yes, serious like that.
But it makes the show beautiful. I don't even know where Salimatu live. I don't know. But we just try to lighten up on the show. But on a stronger note, tomorrow I can tell you hell will break loose here. Trust me, because what's going on now in the NPP, and on a very serious note, I guarantee you, if nothing will be done anyways, but the NPP is on its way out. And the reason is very simple.
Good day, is Mr. Freeman in the background yet?
No, he's not there. I think Salamatu will have to also check it out and rejoin. And update, change of plan again regarding tomorrow. Yeah.
I think I mean spoil.
Then I use spoil.
You start defending about the party too soon.
Yes, I just got off.
The man will come in and say, oh no, we're doing other poor and say, oh no, they want to move fighting.
I just got off the phone with Mr. Peters, and he said he wants to issue, or his team wants to issue a statement tomorrow, and then we can arrange them for Wednesday.
Sure.
Oh, wait now. Which one that his team now? You got to be specific.
Buddy, you notice the letter they carry to NEC, they have no statement.
Not on that one.
Huh?
His signature wasn't on the one the vice president wrote.
Yes.
And this one today, his signature was not on it.
Yes. So he said he wants to issue a statement tomorrow, and then he will appear on Wednesday.
Bottom line, for going to mention, you're not coming tomorrow, Wednesday.
No, I'll get you my own bottom line. If you're not so, hold your peace.
Well, let's, Mr. Fago, don't scare the people away.
Spoon talk here, they make a record kind of toy. So.
No, I think the man is nobody sound.
Wait, good day. Now, why did I bring poker enjoy me? Two people fighting. We look on the VP on a letter she wrote, Salimatu and Dr. Francis Yoma with this. The man's signature was not there.
Yeah.
James Barney wrote it on a letter. The man's signature was not there. The two people fighting and he say, you want to talk? Me, I agree.
But you not talk to the man to know that who started man.
You were supporting this man coming.
Don't mind if I go on the man coming Wednesday.
You bought it, man said me are neutral. I'm not looking for neutral. Me, I don't want
so,
guys,
for the sake of time,
I spoke with him behind closed door. He's in line with the chairman, the chairman proper.
Man, don't get left. I'm gonna put you under pressure. Yeah, good day, man.
So for the sake of time, guys, what a beautiful panelists we have here. You guys are so full of life and come with different perspective on the information. For the sake of time, tomorrow we'll have a great time doing afterthought, like reflecting on this show. We heard a lot of great information, and it sounds like tomorrow we'll just be doing our own analysis of what we heard today, because I think Mr. Freeman is still charging his device or something else is going on. So can I just move to the phone line if it's okay with all of you, because it's 5:50 right now. Take 5 calls. Let's hear from the Liberian people, and then we can move forward to closing. Good day.
No, I just want to talk about the ECOWAS representative in Liberia.
Oh yeah.
He-
Okay.
that thing was highlighted today by Councillor Johnson. Councillor Johnson had a press conference today where he was like jumping here and there, saying people doing this. He brought out story out today that
What
they
did he say?
threatened
Can you
human
tell
life.
the panelists again? Because some of them were not here when you said that. I
Damon, please explain again.
I can just Damo come to companies.
You brought the thing up, and then you said, "Damon, please explain."
Don't worry about
Damon,
explain.
you
Just
not
let
right,
me
and you
explain.
brought it
I'm
up.
gonna explain.
Well, I'll tell you what. I know. I heard. I know. I heard. I heard Councillor Johnson outlining that one terrorist genesis. So somebody on the social media level a threat against the ECOWAS
No, it
representative.
wasn't Terrence. It was one Bill Carson.
Bill Carson.
Um, one Bill Carson. He was the one on the Costa show while trying to make reference to how grave the situation in the country is, and calling the international community's attention to what's happening in Liberia. And then he made that statement, a statement for which I don't want to, repeat on here. But Councillor Johnson talked about it, and the ECOWAS ambassador, Madame Nkrumah, who's from Ghana, also, went to the Justice Ministry to say that her life is not safe.
Yeah.
She feels as if her life is in grave danger. It's a threat to her life as well. So as to whether or not Councillor Johnson talked about cyberbullying, talked about the Justice Ministry issuing and making laws to stop people from cyber stalking, what he called, harassment, cyber harassment, and all that. So that's the case with the ECOWAS ambassador to Liberia. We need to look into that, and if the person who made the statement can be brought to book, he or she. Bill Carson is a he, or if that is just a fake Facebook account, because people create accounts with all sorts of names. So if they can find out whether or not the person is a real person by that name, then they can take it from there. But she has said her life is at risk, or she feels
Yeah.
as if she's in danger in Liberia. So that's just to your story, James.
And yeah, thank you. And also, this is how Councillor Johnson brought it out. The president made a statement saying that's the only way y'all know that Koji is dangerous. So looking at what happened, people linking Koji with it, and again another person making comment and say, if this happens to this person, that's the time y'all know that Koji is dangerous. I think the woman too had to rush quick to seek protection before it gets too late.
Okay. All right. So we're gonna move on to the phone lines today. Liberians, you can tell us your thoughts about Mr. Simeon Freeman. He presented a brilliant platform here today. He actually is taking the government to court for the ombudsman's position, which is supposed to be according to our code of conduct. He's also taking the government to court for double dipping, meaning that they are getting money twice in this one budget for work that is supposed to do for the Liberian people. So the Liberian people will want to hear your views about these issues here, since Mr. Freeman is still charging his device. Thank you. We're going to take 5 calls and then we're going to move on. If he's not here by then, we're going to move on to closing. Thank you, Diamond.
All right, so the numbers to call 077771075 055510107. Hello.
Hello?
Yes, sir. You're live on Spoon Talk. Would you mind walking away from whatever receiver or reducing the volume there? It's loud. The feedback is terrible.
How are you?
Fine. Go ahead, sir.
Yeah, I'm John from Richington. Thank you to Mr. Freeman for his brilliant expression. If we have politicians like Mr. Freeman, I think Liberia will see the light at the end of the tunnel. On the situation on the budget also, the president, lawmakers attach too much money for themselves, while living or putting aside like being so like the education.
Okay. Let me take this person here. Hello.
Yeah.
Go ahead, sir.
Where there was some more calling from Brazil.
Go ahead, Mr. Moore.
Yeah, my cousin. Thank you, Mr. Freeman, for your brilliant idea. Wow. Today on the OKFM, I'm represented what the Sarah Donor from Nimba said. According to the new election law, anybody who earns less than 2% of the vote of the previous election will not be qualified to contest in this coming election. And the statistic from that shows that Mr. Freeman fall in that category. So we want to know what's the thing when it comes to the court, because these are things is so reflecting to the court that it will be disenfranchising him, Mr. Freeman, from contesting. So then he review the election law. Because surely everything come to fruition, all the brilliant ideas, and it can be always. If he meet the threshold to contest, it will be against him. So then he go to the Supreme Court and let him make sure and kick against that law. Thank you.
Thank you. Hello. Hello.
Yeah, hello.
Yeah, go ahead, sir.
This is DJ Lumna calling from Kowa. I want to thank you to the panelists and with respect to Mr. Freeman. You know, normally I listen to him. I want to say this to the entire opposition. If he says we should come together now, I'm not saying it because many opposition got an ego because they want to run for the need to be here. Some of them are even going to election to win, but they just want to go in the election for the need to be here. The only thing I can say to Mr. Freeman here, let the opposition pull work together at second round. Anybody that goes second to President Villa in the second round, and all the opposition should put together and remove President Villa. If I we all think that this man is a good man for Nigeria, or no. But if we divide ourselves in the second round, pledging support to the government that be now, then we off. So the only thing I can tell you, second round, let everyone all come together. 2017 happened. When Prince Johnson brought out something, they went there. At the end of the day, they said they were running individually. In second round, we know how President we are said wants to be counted. So you can stay happy within this election. May God bless our country and save our state. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Hello.
Hello.
Good evening to you. Kindly go ahead.
Good evening. I'm a silent follower of the Coos. It's phone talk, and I cannot call my name because of my job. But Mr. Faton, I sent you a friend request and a message. You see a message, someone who say, I don't like what you say sometimes, but I respect you. We really need to talk. And one last thing. I've listened to all the politicians in Nigeria. I've read the manifesto of all political parties. If you come and put all those things together, it's a 100-year developmental plan for this country. The frustrating thing is that why these guys cannot come together to develop this nation. Is it the issue of greed that everybody must be president? You know, this is the frustrating part of it. What's the future of the children of Liberia when you get 50 years old men, 70 years old, everybody only focus on, I want to be president. And when you see the documents they get together of the mindset they have for the nation, it's a 100 years plan of development. Thank you.
Thank you. Dr. Richardson, was
yes.
calls?
Yes. I think we're going to move forward to closing the show, and we'll invite Mr. Freeman back another time for him to finish his conversation with us. So as we go into closing, as usual, we'll start with Fadiga and then go to Falcon. I'm going to hold you. You're going to take us home as usual. Leo, Gray, and then Salimatu, and then myself, and then Falcon's going to take us home. And then, of course, Good Day can add his thoughts as well. So, Fadiga, you want to do your closing, please?
Well, it seems now I'm usually the first, and I will take that role. It's good. Well, I enjoy Mr. Freeman, but one of the things that we do not have shortage of in Liberia is good speech. A lot of the politicians, if you listen to them, we are very good at saying what we can do, and when it comes to actually doing things, that is where we have the problem. He made some salient points that I won't discount. One thing I was waiting for, and he kind of like pivot and dodge was he's talk about collaboration. I didn't see where he's leaning. I know it's something. It's about how many more? 6, 7 months to election, and people still don't know what's going on. Everybody kind of keeping the little baby close to their chest, which is kind of concerning to me because a few months from now, let's say I think a month or two from now will be the campaign season will open, and people are still uncertain. Nobody, everybody kind of holding the vice president to the chest, the collaboration, everybody's still watching. And the worst part is the CDC is not playing. These guys are going full-blown campaign mode. And even though it's a violation, but the president is campaigning directly or indirectly, he is campaigning. Those we are sports team, sport for peace, I don't know, whatever that is. But he's campaigning around the country while the opposition is still trying to find where they can align and realign, and at the end of the day, uh, propaganda works, campaign works. You need enough time to get to the people. Our people tend to have short-term memories. So you want to get as much information as possible now and moving on. So I didn't hear that from him, even though he mentioned that collaboration. We all know collaboration. There were other things that we thought. I thought that a lot of things happening around the country that I thought we would have delved into. It didn't happen. I listened to Arthur Johnson, and it seemed like the CDC is ready for a fight. The whole Glorious Cat, Councillor Scott case it seemed to be taking a different turn. I think we in the media, those in the opposition, need to be very mindful how we get on this case, because the CDC, like them or hate them, is a very crafty organization. They will exploit every situation, and if you see them pushing, one thing I noticed about them, whenever they have some leeway, you will see them pushing a fight. If they don't have no leeway, they will just stop everyone, or they will disappear for social media. That's what I've noticed about the CDC. If you see them pushing this thing and pushing, and everybody posturing and beating their chest, there is something on it. We have to sit, watch the whole thing, look at the thing. There are a lot of allegations made out there. We have to follow the evidence. And the worst thing about this case, it doesn't matter. This is where I found low solace. They can bring, I don't want to say Jesus, I don't want to mention the Lord name, but it can bring whoever, whatever forensic investigator to this case right now. They have played out in the court of public opinion. Everybody going to choose side. It doesn't matter who you bring. At the end of the day, people will just choose what they want to choose, or which side they want to choose on. So that's the worst thing about this case. So there's going to be a fight as he then trying to turn this on this Councillor Scott, and it's going to get worse.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Fadiga. All right, we're going to go on to Mr. Johnson. Unmute yourself, Leo.
Sorry about that. Thank you. So great show. Great, everybody. Just a few things that concern me here. First of all, again, great listening to Mr. Simeon Freeman. But I guess my serious question was, are you not going to win an election here? Is it part of the problem that every year we see these political parties that are just there? It looks like they're running. We don't even see them run a national campaign at all, but they still run regardless. So is it just an exercise, or is there some type of strategy there to just remain in the picture? Unfortunately, I didn't get a chance to ask him. My question, follow-up questions about the ombudsman was going to be, the ombudsman has no teeth. They don't persecute, they don't bite, they don't do anything. They just give an opinion. The government can choose to take the opinion or don't take it. How powerful would that be? And I thought it would be good to go back to Mr. Freeman on the statement he made that the courts in Liberia are very good, that our courts are very good. I don't know how many Liberians agree with that, when majority of Liberian citizens are unable to access our courts. Is justice for sale, in my opinion. Only those with resources seem to, majority, predominantly, only those with resources seem to have a way of getting justice in the court. Does that mean the judges are not good or whatever? I don't know. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying if accessibility is not even there to begin with, how can the ordinary Liberian get the chance to test if the system will work? Can the old man in Lofa County, in Maryland, in Ogbapolu, can they tell you, yes, we all can access? And should justice in Liberia be based on people in the diaspora doing GoFundMe and SendWave? I mean, is that how far our country has gone that we think that that is a strategy for getting justice to people? By anybody who get problem in Liberia, you hope to God that somebody in the diaspora sees it and do SendWave or GoFundMe to raise money to send you to help you get to court. Another thing would be when we say these things, sometimes we need to ask the question. If you are saying, like, with the lawmakers getting double pay, taking them to court, if we think we can get solutions through that, how come the lawmakers got ready to decided to just write a new law to drive on the wrong side of the road? Something that we've always known anywhere in the world is against the rule of traffic, but they decided to do it to themselves and nobody could stop them. How come Justice Jane never got a fair chance at the allegations against him, as was proven by the ECOWAS court, by the way, when he actually went there? So I think for me, like I said, we've had brilliant minds before, from the HB families to Dr. Sawyer. All of these people were brilliant minds by any measure, Dr. Emmanuel Buya. But the question has been, how many of them has been able to apply this in Liberia? If we say the political sector is the only sector, how come none of them have been able to create anything else out of their brilliance outside of the political sector, in my opinion? The last thing I would say to all Liberians is, let's be practical with each other as it stands. Say it, like it or not. We all want to go to America. We all envy America. We envy Canada. We envy these countries that are doing well. But by the time you talk about order and some of the things these countries are doing well, oh, the Liberia, that thing can work. The person living there on another planet and that thing can do in America, you think it can work in Liberia? If we agree that Liberia is okay with this one system the way it is, then let's continue it like that. But we can say we want it different. And then when people say, here are better ways of seeing things done to look at how we can do it in Liberia, everybody uniformly agrees that it's not possible. But then on one hand, everybody wants to come to these countries and benefit from these systems.
30 seconds, Mr. Johnson.
So thank you, everybody. It's been a great show, and I'll stop it there.
Thank you, Mr. Gray.
All right. I'm going to peel away from the Freeman appearance today and focus on our national security with regards to international territoriality. Liberia controls some 200 nautical miles to the high seas. Today, I understand the United Nations came to a conclusion, a treaty to protect the high seas. I feel our international, our waters, are being polluted by foreign agents, to include China. And also, we see people coming in to Liberia, hand swinging, and these are refugees fleeing conflict region in the Sahara region, and we're very close to Burkina Faso somehow, and we know exactly what refugees sometimes bring with them. They bring contraband. Are we policing those people coming into our borders? What are some of the dangerous things they're bringing into our inland? Do we have national security to police those things? France just pulled off from Mali, where they had, some presence, and so it making that region more dangerous. And Liberia is there as well, contributing its quota. I'm very, very concerned as to whether we have the wherewithal to even man our borders, especially when we have foreign people coming into our land and taking up shops in our high forest. I'm very, very concerned about that. But I'll leave it.
Mr. Gray. Are you done, Mr. Gray?
I'm done.
Okay, thank you. I'll move on to Salamatu. You're closing.
Dr. Richardson, look, you scared Mr. Gray. He just cut the thing short. Okay.
It's almost 6.
It's past 6.
Okay, so let me just say the second question I actually wanted to ask Mr. Freeman was why didn't the movement for progressive change, why didn't they join the CPP when these parties were collaborating? When we're talking about collaboration. So if he's listening, please, think about it. When you come back, please answer that question. But and I also want to go on to, the idea of calling on the diaspora to help with justice. I think it was a direct response to, oh, we don't have money. What about the people who don't have money? The suggestion is you use your diaspora. When people die, we can raise money. There's no question. No matter where you are, we raise money for death. We need to sometimes channel that same energy into raising money for entrepreneurs and also for justice. It shouldn't be your sole area of change. Change starts on the ground, but you should also utilize the people in the diaspora. And regarding Brilliant Minds, Leo, I had the pleasure of knowing Dr. Emma Sawyer. I also had the pleasure of knowing people who knew him. Had the pleasure of knowing people who actually utilized his brilliant mind, who said, you know what, we're going to take what he's saying and we're going to implement it in our society. One of the last meetings I was involved with, and that was a meeting he invited me to sit on, was of the past presidents in West Africa, and just kind of listening to them, listening to what, him provide, some of his ideas to them, what they've taken from him. So I think sometimes we just need to listen to some of the people. Everybody can be the farmer going to dig the hole. You got the people who plan. You got the people who is an ecosystem. You got the people who come up with the bright ideas, and most of them can't implement one of them. Then people like you, you come on, you have the ideas, you're on the ground, you're doing a library. It's disturbing to a lot of us that we sit and say, why there haven't been a library in Liberia for so long? And you have this young guy who comes in and he does it. So I think we need to explore everybody and what they say, the part they can do, where they stop short. All of us have to put our hands in it. And I think that's what Liberia's been lacking, the collaboration. A final thing I want to say is that this month is International Women's History Month, the entire month. But May 8th is International Women's Day. And it's just a time that we take to reflect on women's contribution to society. And as much as I'm on the show, I want, every time I'm on here for the month of March and probably beyond, I want to recognize a Liberian entrepreneur. I work with a lot of these young entrepreneurs and they could use the exposure. So before I go, please give me my last 30 seconds. I want to give a shout out to Jet Dell Housekeeping Services. This is a Liberian-owned company owned by a woman. Her name is Akalasi. She is one of the Academic for Women Entrepreneurs alumna. She went through the program with the U.S. Embassy, but this is a house cleaning business. So she is 100% Liberian owned. It's a professional cleaning services. She provides services to homes, to institutions, to offices throughout Monrovia. Very energetic young woman. So, if you have the time, give her a call. It's Jet Dell Housekeeping Services. She's actually on social media. She's on Facebook as Jet Dell Housekeeping Services, and she's on Instagram.
What kind of promo you doing there? So do the thing. Let's say we want to clean your house. We come from
you see?
Go ahead. Hey, you want to clean your house? Yeah, I know, but I can be scared of the woman. If you want to clean your house, you want to clean your office, call the woman, call a young woman. Okay, she's been around for several years. She's very dependable. So this is not a fly by night company. So you'll call Adele with Jet Dell Housekeeping Services.
You can hang out with Fagon. He can be speaking Syrian oil, and
great. Good day. Please tell us, give us a few minutes of your thoughts or any additional comments that you have, and then I will close. And then also, I will close, and then Fagon will take us home.
Okay, nothing much. Try to say we will be back tomorrow.
Okay, good day. Thank you. I saw that you put a poster up. You're not talking about it, or that Falcon talking about it.
No,
No, no.
this is front page Africa news for tomorrow in Liberia.
Okay, thank you
Yeah,
for sharing.
and the how you call it? The ECOWAS representative story is also there, and the comment that was made on the Costa show is also on the front page. Just for people who watch it, maybe they want to read. You can go on front page Africa, or if you are in Liberia, you buy some tomorrow.
Yes, thank you. And thank you to Rodney Sear. A shout out to him for running this company, which is almost a part of Liberia now. It's part of our genetics gene pool in Liberia. And also, Rodney just published a new book out there. He's going to be doing a book tour here in the United States. I forget the date, but I will probably come back and tell you that date later. If you can come, please do so to support a fellow Liberian. Just as Salamatu said, please support a female business in Liberia. I want to close by telling you guys it was a wonderful conversation. I felt like I was at a forum. I felt like I was just at one of my many discussions that I go to in the academic setting. I'm talking about a great country, about what Liberia can do or what Liberia could be. It was just so positive. I was struck by a statistic that Mr. Freeman gave, which is that we spend 3% of our budget on education, and neighboring countries spend 34% of their budget on education. That is very telling to me, and it saddens me because obviously educating our next generation is actually one of the ways that we can move our country forward. I want to just also give kudos to Mr. Alexander Cummings. I really enjoy the way that he is engaging communities in Monrovia and in Liberia. He was in Nimba. I heard he was in District 10 and he was in also District 9. That is exactly what we expect all political candidates to be doing. Yeah, please excuse my grandparents now. We're calling him mama. Sorry, I don't know what everybody ever. So yeah.
So the men were about Cesar Class too.
Yeah, the point though, Cesar Class supposed to end. You see what I be telling you supposed to end. So tomorrow I want you to join us. We'll be making a further analysis on this panel about Liberia. Thank you so much. I want you now to please take us home, Fagon.
Thank you, and let me say thank you to all of my fellow panelists, and thank you to the Liberian people for always joining us and having fun with us here, as well as discussing the issues that matters most to our nation and to our people. I'd like to touch base quickly on 3 issues. The first being Article 77, A and B. Clearly states that you don't make any law to stop anybody, whether they got 2%, 1%, it doesn't matter. It is clear, and I'm going to quote it, laws, regulations, decrees, or measures which must have the effect of creating a one-party state shall be declared unconstitutional. Article 77A, the last sentence. B makes it clear again that people will have the right to register, vote, and take part in elections. So, Election Commission, that's why you saw I read that part. Can I go and say, hey, you got 2%? So, this Constitution trumps everything. Come to Gloria Musu Scott quickly. A murder occurred on a Wednesday night. On a Thursday, police asked us for help. A gentleman on the media points directly at 2 individuals. Both individuals are across the street from the police station. Police did not even go there to ask, to inquire, to meet, to ascertain, to do whatsoever they were supposed to do. They did not go there on Thursday. They did not go there on Friday. They did not go there Saturday, Sunday, Monday. One of the individuals even denied the other. The other came and we saw his eyes. He admitted. He gave us some stories. It's been almost 9-10 days now since the incident happened. And let me be clear. The truth of the matter is, you may have 25 persons sitting on the payroll of the Internal Affairs, another 50 on the payroll of the Ministry of Finance. They are referred to as the cyber team. overrunning the cyber network on social media with all these comments. These were our ideas in order to combat the cyber denigration and bullying of the government. So let's be clear. We know the game they're playing. If someone tells you, said I meant this only, and you couldn't go there up to now, the Liberian people are not stupid. They're aware. Last but not the least, we talk about the NPP. And we made it clear that this was not a coalition. Now we see what it has boiled down to. One, only the chairman can call an executive meeting or a meeting of the board. Two, Article 5, Section 2, the vice chairman for administration cannot sign a document when the chairman is in the bailiwicks of our country. Number 3, Article 3, Section 3.2c, you have Yondwe Makomada, Chief Siri Allen, Lawrence George. I quoted it, Article 3, Section 3.2c. Only one member of the advisory board can be a member of the executive committee. So all three of them were not even supposed to sign. Number 4, now, on October 7, 2022, after the ruling of the court, it was clear that certain people who did not win at that convention were no longer members of the executive committee. So those names were written. If they voted, it's null and void. Number 5, to have people to sign on behalf of other people without their knowledge is criminal, let alone for a coalition document. So as far as they're concerned, we said that if the document goes to NEC and NEC accept it, it will be a different thing. What did NEC do? Up to now, NEC have not responded to the letter sent to them by Molu. And now these people have written on account of the Constitution, and I've asked NEC to throw that document outside, in fact, to my house. They should send it to my house for me to put it in the trash can and burn it. The truth of the matter is, you have not even heard LPDP on a story. There will be no coalition because for 6 years, Dr. Francine, and I close on this, you treated people like outliers. You treated people like they were not important. You ostracized, marginalized, created a barrier for them. And in the 6th year, you want to treat them right. That is not possible. I think we're over, and we'll go back to our Liberian people, and we'll say to them, help is on the way. Thank you for having me, and thank all of you guys for a brilliant show.
Thank you, audience. Thank you, Liberians, and see you tomorrow. Goodbye. James, it's up to you now.
Oh, he's still crying?
All right, folks. We will be back tomorrow at 8:30. And many thanks to you for joining. It was beautiful being here with you. James Good Flomo. Bye-bye.